QB coach Davis Webb. Following this, though, one difficulty in the search is the Bills cannot speak to any of the coaches on either Seattle or New England until after the Super Bowl, 2 weeks from now, after not doing any initial interviews prior with the candidates from those teams. Though this may not prove to be any kind of problem, Adam Schefter had this to say earlier today with Pat McAfee.
I would think that we would have all these head coaching jobs filled this week, probably sooner rather than later. I wouldn't be surprised if by Wednesday there are no openings left at this point in time.
Those openings he is speaking about include Buffalo, but then the three others, Cleveland, Arizona, and Las Vegas. And then for Cleveland, Jags offensive coordinator Grant Yudinski pulled himself from consideration for that opening. His only other options now, returning to Jacksonville, where we get a pay bump, or the Bills' head coaching position. And we'll get more on the Bills when Sal Capaccio joins the show in about an hour at 4 p.m. To the Sabres, just practiced today. No Josh Norris on the ice. Head coach Lindy Ruff unsure if Norris will be available later this week for the Sabres. And the team, though, is working through if they should actually hold him out until after the Olympic break. Sabres have won 3 in a row. They're in Toronto tomorrow night. And we'll get more on the team when Paul Hamilton joins the show a little bit later on at 6. And then around the league, just 4 games tonight. 3 of them are at 7. The Rangers host Boston. The Islanders are in Philly versus the Flyers. And the Lightning, they host Utah. While at 8:30, the Ducks, they're in Edmonton to take on the Oilers. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
We're up there, and, here are the people on the panel, so I'm, taking pot shots at Brian Brown. Because, that's what he came to Buffalo for.
It's Mike Schopp.
You literally told E.J. Manuel to his face that he sucked.
And the Bulldog.
I was proud of you, because
I feel like that's what you're there for.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I know. I couldn't, though. I couldn't.
I'm better than you.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Not thrilled about that Schefter clip. I'm trying to squeeze an off day in this week for a very special me day.
Yeah.
And he's out here going, do you have Schefter senses? He's out here going, I wouldn't be surprised if everything's settled by Wednesday. Geez, I kind of wanted to sneak away tomorrow or Wednesday. Tomorrow's better for me.
Yeah.
If it's just about me. Which this one.
Yeah, well, then, go.
But if I'm not going to the Scotties if the Bills hire a coach. Maybe I'll go on Friday or something.
Well, you can't know.
Well, what can I do? It's an hour and a half. Mississauga, which I just learned is the 6th biggest city in Canada. It's not Toronto. It's kind of Toronto, but it's Mississauga.
I don't know. It depends. I think if you go, they'll hire a coach.
See, that's like what my mom would say.
It's a little, I know, right? So,
no offense.
We're close enough in age. I can accept, being lumped in with your mom.
I'm not sure that's fair to her by the way. But there are a lot of people who kind of live their lives that way.
Right. So I don't know, if you're already, it's been a week today since we learned Sean McDermott was being relieved of his duties as head coach. If you're already fatigued by the process and just want it wrapped up for some reason, which does not describe me at all. I'm fine.
I'm not fatigued.
I'm just hanging out over here. They'll do your work. I'm waiting to see if there's another surprise Scooby-Doo candidate like Phillip Rivers. We had a day with Phillip Rivers. By today, it's gone. It's come and gone. Friday was our day, and yay, we got to talk about the idea of them hiring Phillip Rivers
and Mike McDaniel.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Wait, was that over?
That was Friday morning.
That was still a live Friday.
We didn't end up talking much about Mike McDaniel because Rivers was more interesting, probably.
Yeah, right.
But the Rivers thing is exactly what I thought it was, probably, where they just sort of went through it.
Right.
But he was never going to be their head coach.
Right. I saw one little piece at some point in between him talking to the Bills and him bailing out on the idea, which we learned today. That said, they were impressed, and don't be surprised if there's some role for him. And I'm like, yeah, he's got how many kids? He's gonna come here to be the quality control quarterbacks coach / something.
It's a sickness.
I come on. There's no, he's not just catching on with some, job down the depth chart. I wouldn't think. Anyway.
I don't know if I agree with that.
What do I know?
If he wants to get into coaching for a career, how does he do it? That's how he does it.
You gotta start,
That's how you do it.
Right. Maybe he thought he could start at the top. Maybe it was just see what things are like, and internally in the Rivers family, cooler heads prevailed. Now's maybe not the time. We supported you on this go back and play thing, and fine. Find out what this is like. Find out what the interview process is like, maybe. But no.
Okay.
So anyway, whatever. I'm just going a long way to say, go on your trip. They'll hire a coach. I mean, I don't know. I'd like you to be here when they hire a coach too.
I intend to be here when they hire a coach. That's really not on the table.
Right.
I'm saying my not being here when they do it. I mean, if there's no scent tomorrow morning, then I might, and I get permission to go, from work, then I'll probably just do it. But if they hire someone at noon, I'm coming back.
Oh, I see.
If it's at 3,
you're kind of stuck.
I'm there. I think I'm probably.
You're not going to make it back.
I call in or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is Wednesday Clint Kubiak is the name here.
And there's nothing, we're not going to learn anything. The only thing we're going to learn between now and 2 weeks from today is that he has accepted a job somewhere else that he's already talked to. And I don't even know if you do. I'm so cloudy now with this stuff, because this year we've gotten he's going to be their coordinator except if this happens, right? We had that with McDaniel. That was with Brian Flores as well. This Udinsky guy now has got that too, right? He's set to go back for a raise, and I don't know if more of a role, whatever, but they're allowing him to continue. So maybe we find out that Clint Kubiak has accepted the Raiders job. He's having a second interview with them. You can talk to a candidate that you previously talked to. There was a window for these people. The Bills weren't in it. They didn't fire their coach till after divisional round weekend.
Right, they won a game.
And because they won a game and they were through, and so they couldn't avail themselves of Clint Kubiak at the time.
Should they have blown the Jacksonville game on purpose?
Just so they could talk to yeah. So I don't know if you'll get even an announcement that he's settled on a job before the Super Bowl. I feel like coordinators, it's not like college, where Lane Kiffin, and it turned out he didn't get to coach, but I'm sure it's happened. A guy has got a job, he's leaving, but he's going to coach the bowl game. I don't know that happens in the NFL. Is he going to be announced as the Raiders coach?
Yes, I think it's probably fine.
Okay.
I don't know, but I think it should be
so that
fine.
But anyway, if that can happen or does happen, that's the only news you're going to get about him. You're getting nothing on the Bills. Right. They have to sit and wait for him,
right? Which
comes with its own set of risks, I think. You're waiting 2 more weeks, and everybody else might sort of be on to other stuff, and you might get stuck if, Clint Kubiak walks in the room. You might like him just fine. There could be he could walk in there and just go, yeah, this doesn't feel right to me.
I don't think you have to worry about it. Is he really cut and dried above at least one of the other options they'll have? By the way, has anybody ever done the thing I said? Tank in the playoffs?
Probably not.
Make the playoffs, but then lose on purpose so you can talk to more people because you don't think you're going all the way and you're ready to make the coaching change? Okay. Well, I mean, you could make the argument that they should wait. He seems impressive. Seattle hums on offense. I mean, I don't have any strike against that idea, but I'm kind of intrigued by the Jacksonville guy. Maybe Davis Webb is interesting enough. Those are the 2 young candidates. Then you have Daboll. Right?
I wonder if there isn't room for 2 of those guys. Because Webb right now is just a quarterback's coach. So a coordinator spot is an upgrade for him. And I wonder if he and Udinsky could work together.
Well, I think that could be – you like the idea just because both guys are kind of unproven and, maybe you just win for having them both. But I think it could be tricky with who's really in charge of what.
Yeah.
I mean, whoever's getting the head coaching job for the Bills is somebody that's getting it because of their play calling and their success, and then you're going to hire a second person. I could see why you'd want to, but I could also see why you wouldn't.
Well, it's interesting you use the phrasing play calling there because neither of those guys are play callers.
Well, they could
nor have they been.
That's
in the NFL.
That's what you're saying.
They do not have there's not like a library of games to go through to see how they handled certain situations as a play caller because that's not their job.
You know, if you just settle for what you get from the mainstream media, that's of course what you would say. I know that fair enough, but just what do you want to call it? I mean, Dable is not that, but this is Webb and Udinsky, right?
Right.
What is qualifying them for this possible opportunity?
The reputations they've accrued since, well, just in the last few years, and Davis Webb maybe is a candidate because he's climbed the ladder. He's thought to be a bright, he's going to be, everybody's saying he's going to be a head coach, and he has ties to Allen. He has ties to the team. He was here, and he and Allen are thought to have a tight relationship. That's what qualifies him for the job right now. Udinsky, while not having been a play caller, I watched a 5-minute clip. Was mostly him answering a question about what did you get out of working with Kevin O'Connell. And he just went in depth, just never stopped talking, like just laying out what my days were like, what I learned. And that guy, to me, it feels to me like touched every bit of what it's like to be a head coach. Because it sounded to me a little bit like, and I know he actually literally wasn't doing this, like he was shadowing Kevin O'Connell. Like just going through his day with him and seeing like all the different variety of tasks that are to be undertaken. And I'm really excited. I like him a lot. I don't know if they're going to hire him, but that is my favorite idea right now. Udinsky.
All right. I kind of agree.
I like the Kubiak idea, but I'm just not sure about waiting 2 weeks. I would be nervous if I were the Bills that you could lose out on everybody else and he walks in and doesn't like Pagula's shirt or something. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm being a little goofy about it, but you don't know that that's going to go well. Again, the Bills might love everything they've seen and heard and read and who they've talked to about him, but he doesn't know the Bills necessarily, and he could walk in and just go, yeah.
Anything's possible, but if they had interest in him, he would know, real world. He would know that, and likewise, they would know what he needs or doesn't like or what doesn't smell good to him about it. And possibly he's just not going to be a candidate because there's some connection he has where maybe he saw the press conference, whatever it might be, where he wants to live, things like that. We've never touched into the Kubiak world up here, have we? It's New Orleans or it's, Seattle, Denver, Houston, whatever. Like, I think they're in the real world, they will find out. Maybe there's something that changes when you actually sit down together, but I don't know. I don't think that has to be too much of a problem. I guess I'll put it that way. Udinsky is not among the betting favorites for any other job, by the way. He reportedly is not interested in Cleveland after meeting with them, and neither at BetOnline, Vegas, or Arizona, his name does not appear. He's the third favorite here behind Dable and Webb as of this morning. But it's all pretty close. Well, how are you feeling? 803-0550, the Bills coaching search into its second week. By the way, on those odds, a couple of potentially interesting things. Joe Brady is listed for 3 of the jobs, not Cleveland. And he is listed for the Bills, but he's a long shot at all of them, according to this. Wonder where he ends up. There's somebody that, is going to be somebody's offensive coordinator probably at the end of this. And maybe there are, right? There are going to be openings right now for some number of teams that have head coaches in place. And you wonder if, Brady sort of looks at his cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Philadelphia is one example. I think they're still – I keep reading about they're talking to this guy, talking to that guy, whatever.
Exactly. Something like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if you get I'm just playing off the odds here. Joe Brady is going to Philadelphia or somewhere to be their offensive coordinator and giving up on the head coaching dream for now. I feel like the odds are kind of telling you that. McDermott is listed among the Browns' names, but there's no odds there. So I don't know. Have you heard anything about him?
I saw something either yesterday at some point or today that indicated it was a report that he's likely to sit out a year is the most likely outcome. That he's not either there's not interest in him, which would very much surprise me, or that he's not interested in what's out there, but that he's just going to be on the sideline for a year.
So to speak.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, a different sideline from the game. Not, yeah, okay.
What an interesting personal decision that is. You know? Like, it's sort of in a certain way, and this is not to judge him or anybody in that position, it's so exhausting and time-consuming and year-round, mostly, that job and all the pressure. You'd think, family considerations might be like, and you're going to get compensated very well for not working, that's sort of like maybe the knee-jerk judgment somebody would make is, dude, take a break. Mm-hmm. Go be with I'm not saying this about him. I'm not offering this in a direct personal way, but like, go be with your kids, decompress.
Yeah.
Look at the board from the outside, and maybe be able to relax a little bit. But
sure.
Relax is an interesting word because these coaches don't tend to relax easily. Right. These are not people generally, to stereotype, who have an easy time with getting away. Look at Phillip Rivers again. I mean, he's coaching high school. He's got this huge family, tons of money, you would think. Yeah, I kind of want to be in the ring.
I need the juice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a very interesting personal decision that these guys have. If they're fortunate enough to be paid like, well, McDermott would be in this situation, and also be somebody that you wouldn't think he'd just be forgotten about in a year. Maybe some people who don't quite have the same advantages. I can't afford to sit out, right? I got to make. Yeah. Maybe there's a certain opportunity where I can parlay that into interviews for a head coach in the future, and if I wait, then maybe I just get left out. So the calculus on these coaching situations is always very interesting.
I also wonder a little bit if the personality that craves that juice is afraid to not have the juice because they might like it. Like you reference, like Bill Cowher, for example, got away and never went back. Jimmy Johnson, this is going back a long time now. They've been on TV for maybe longer than they coached in the NFL now, both guys.
I've always thought this incredible.
But maybe it's just like the switch gets flipped and the odd guy, these two guys went, actually, I like this.
I want to be on a boat.
This is good for me. Like maybe family like also said, Dad or Hun, you're I like you more like this. This is better. Like, all right, I can still make a ton of coin doing the TV thing, and it's way less taxing. And okay, lifestyle wise,
you might not even listen to this, but you might not even really need to make more money. If you're making money on that level and you're investing smartly, then you really shouldn't need to work at NFL Today, but you just do it because you enjoy it, I guess.
And I think the money is pretty outrageous. So, like,
enough.
for what you're required to do, it might just be of course I'm going to do that.
Which that's insane, isn't it?
Yes.
To think of like what value
Yeah.
CBS thinks Bill Cowher adds to their programming is absolutely insane. He's not the worst, but could they really not live without him? I mean,
right.
Anyway, I've always found that incredible.
You could plug any one of like 100 or 1,000 different people in there, and it would be the same show.
A guy, yeah, exactly.
With the same audience, I think.
People say that about this show. I don't know if I agree.
Yeah.
If you just replaced us.
There's maybe a dozen people you could replace us with.
It's a short list.
Way shorter list, yeah.
McDermott takes this job for something to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, Nate Scheelhaas has been one of these names, a Rams assistant, and he's the betting favorite in Cleveland now.
Okay.
Ahead of Jim Schwartz. I don't know what Bet Online knows, but
right.
If the favorites,
well, it might just be betting lines on this thing might just be They could have hired him 2 weeks ago, and they haven't yet, so maybe they're going to do something else. There's nothing said. They know him. He was their defense coordinator. He's interviewed twice.
Schwartz, yeah.
And, it might just be like if they were going to hire him, it would have already happened.
Maybe.
I don't know. Possible, anyway.
803-0550. The search continues. Really interesting discussions to get into when we're talking about this stuff. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to permanently, at this point in time, have a hockeyreference.com tab open?
Ooh.
I always have a profootballreference.com tab open, or 3. Some old game I want to reference, no pun intended, current stats, whatever. Always, during the season. And usually year-round because of fantasy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball, not really, once in a while. I'm at the who's playing tonight level of interest in the NHL, which is that's not been true for me in years.
Yep.
On Sabres off nights, I want to know who else is on.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure I'll watch a game, but I want to know for the standings purposes. Also, I was out with Jeremy on Friday night, and he likewise has certainly reached who do you want to play levels of interest in the Sabres, and he thinks the easy answer is Detroit. But there's another conversation. Do I need to have that in front of my face at all times?
I would say we're there. Yeah. I think we're there. I have not thought yet when looking at the standings about how it could shake out. Although, I am. Yeah. They're in third now. I went in Saturday night. The Sabres, of course, clobbered the Islanders 5-0 on Saturday afternoon. Saturday night, Montreal and Boston are playing. These are two teams really, they're sandwiching the Sabres at the time, anyway. The Sabres had passed Montreal, I think, by the time those teams took the ice at 7 o'clock. But either way, they're the two teams closest to the Sabres. And, you know what? I think I want Boston to win, even though they gain on me if I fall back into a wild card spot. But the way this has been going, I'm thinking about third, which means you're playing the second-place team in the division, and that very well could be Detroit. They and Tampa are a point apart at the top of the division. So if Detroit, I think that's a much more favorable matchup if Detroit ends up second and you end up third and you let Tampa go to first. I don't love Tampa in the first round. I think they're one of the best teams in the whole league at this point.
Plus, you could go to Detroit.
That's right.
There'd be a lot of fan fun in a playoff series, best of 7, both buildings.
Right.
They've never even come close to meeting in the playoffs.
And Detroit's been out for a while too. I mean, it's not 14 years, but it's been a minute, I think,
really?
For them. Unless they didn't get in last year, did they?
You're asking the wrong guy.
I don't think they did. I think they're riding a little bit of a drought.
Pittsburgh, another one you could end up talking about. They haven't been in the playoffs in a few years, right?
Yep.
That one I got. Well, I have a tab open right now. It's right next to the curling, which, by the way, Skurlik up 5-1 on Weagle after 5. Not to spoil anything for anybody up in Mississauga. 803-0550, Bills coaching search. Oh, yeah, the Super Bowl. New England and Seattle. A rematch of a pretty memorable game in the Super Bowl, the Oyster Bowl.
That I watched at your house.
Yes. I had the party that year. We just moved there, and many of the work team came over, and I know of it as the Oyster Bowl because my friend Jim Garino from Shango prepared New England and Pacific Northwest oysters, and you got to compare, which not everybody wanted to do. Not everybody's favorite appetizer.
I remember having some of each, but I don't remember really. I didn't have a scorecard. They were delicious.
New England is bigger usually, and there's a different flavor. So it's a rematch of the Oyster Bowl. Maybe I need to have another party. Sal Capaccio today, Paul Hamilton later on. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. We'll look for your calls next. This is WGR.
He is a phenomenal mind. You know, it was interesting when Robert Saleh had all that talk about Liam Cohen earlier in the year. So the thought here was maybe he wasn't talking about Cohen. He was talking about Udinski being this savant and figuring out what the other defense is doing. Udinski is very, very good at turning around quarterbacks. I also think that he was Liam Cohen's right-hand man, and I think that there is a world of potential for Udinski moving forward. I just don't know if at 30 years of age, if that's the direction Buffalo would want to go with him.
Ryan Green in Jacksonville commenting on Grant Udinski, a candidate for the Bills job, earlier today on with Sal, the Extra Point Show. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, 803-0550. There's also Brian Daboll, who we didn't get to really much at all earlier. 50 years old, Daboll, by the way. And I'm not finding myself warm to that idea, really. But I'm not sure I really know why. He turned me off with the Giants.
Yeah.
We talked about him a lot, and when he was here, of course, and I was usually really impressed with what the Bills were doing. They kind of invented, he's there for the coming out party.
The launch,
Allen,
really.
Yeah, and the offense. And I thought there were some technical things that he was doing that were really working. But with the Giants, he was not impressive at all, just in a professional way. You've said this.
Yeah, I just don't think he's that buttoned up, and look, that doesn't have to be, his undoing. I mean, if he goes somewhere, if he doesn't get a head coaching job this cycle, and I think this is the only real look at it. Although I guess is he a candidate with the Raiders? Anyway. He goes as a coordinator and has a couple of good years. I think he'll get another shot, and maybe he'll be different. But his temperament, the way he came across in Hard Knocks, even, I would say, wasn't ideal.
With the Giants.
I remember us even watching that show saying, the Giants are not going to like that. They're buttoned up, and he's not. And I think there was a clash there. The temper. I think it's one thing to be that way when you're a coordinator. I think there's a little more room for that, depending on the makeup of your coaching staff. But if you're the head coach, you're the guy in charge, and you're losing it in public at times, I wonder what it's like behind the scenes, when you're not on camera. And furthermore, I think a big part of his undoing with the Giants, at least the way I read it from, 500 miles away over here, was that he couldn't stop running Jackson Dart. He was treating Jackson Dart like Wile E. Coyote. The kid had, got evaluated for concussions repeatedly, and he kept giving him the RPOs and just giving him the option to take off and run, and he just wasn't protecting an asset that should be protected at all costs. If you think he's your franchise quarterback, you don't want him coming out of his rookie year with 4 concussions. So there's that. Not saying I think he would treat Josh that way now at 30 years of age, but it's just not my favorite idea of the ideas on the board. I mean, I think if I had to choose between he and Brady, I might choose Daboll.
And quickly, before we get to calls, I'll just add that the clip we just played from Jacksonville was how Udinski helped. He gets credit for, what was the guest's word, reforming quarterbacks. That's Darnold, probably. That's Lawrence, even semi-reclamation projects. The Bills don't need that. They're not looking for anybody that needs to reform Josh Allen, for the most part. To a great extent, the most part, if not entirely. So Daboll is somebody that, he's kind of different, clearly, in this kind of way, where he knows what has worked with him and how to communicate with him. And, he isn't the same age as Allen, which you might like. 803-0550, here's Richard with us. Hello.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you. I agree with what you guys were saying on Daboll. And I also believe that Sean McDermott, who did a phenomenal job for us, there's just too many mistakes made in the last 4 or 5 years when we were close. that he's got to take responsibility for. But the reason I'm calling in is I was talking to a business colleague of mine that used to be a All-American quarterback, and he was a Rhodes Scholar, so he kind of went that track rather than play football. But his background, when I mentioned a bunch of people, he liked the person out of Jacksonville. But when I mentioned Clint Kubiak, he lit up like a Christmas tree. He said, "That guy's perfect for you guys." I said, "Why?" He said, "It's his offense, it's the discipline, it's the system he's been in, it's where the offense needs to go, his flexibility." Plus, he said, versus a Jacksonville guy, this guy's 5 years older. Plus, he's got a very rich background in a very effective front office. And he said the guys in Seattle, the coaching to the GM relationship is special. He said being able to hitch onto that is incredibly invaluable. So just thought I'd pass that along.
Okay.
From some, and so Clint Kubiak is somebody that I've been,
Okay.
excited about.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. You have to wait now.
I'm just worried about the timing. I just think that there is recognizing that maybe the possibility of him not choosing the Bills 2 weeks from now. Maybe that's remote. Maybe the bill, like you said, maybe the Bills can find out back channel, whatever, what level of interest there is. I just think you run some risk of him showing up, whether it's to here or the yacht or wherever, and going through the meetings and just feeling like, this isn't something is telling me not to do this. And that something could be the owner. I mean, he's, I assume, going to have a prominent role in these meetings, in these interviews, and be talking. And we watched, an hour or 50 minutes of that on Wednesday. And, that's a different setting, but still, it's possible that he could say enough things that would make you go, I don't know. Yeah, I don't feel good about this. I'm just being honest. I think that's a possibility. We all just saw it. So,
well, I don't think it's likely because of the 2 week point, Schefter's point about everybody wouldn't surprise him if everything's wrapped up by Wednesday around the league. And Kubiak is the betting favorite to get Las Vegas. And, if it was thought that couldn't happen because the Seahawks are still playing, then he wouldn't be the betting favorite in Las Vegas. So I don't think it's likely. I also think as we're, sprinkling in quasi-personal judgments on these guys from a great distance, Kubiak has been with 5 different teams in the last 5 years. Minnesota, Denver, San Francisco, New Orleans, and now Seattle. Maybe I'm in the Super Bowl, and he's probably hooked up in the future too, like Ben Johnson almost, where can I just sort of not move again this year?
Yeah.
And sure, Allen offers a coach a tremendous gift and opportunity, but he's in the Super Bowl with Sam Darnold right now. I can kind of call my shot, I think, Kubiak. So now does that mean he goes to Vegas and moves again and coaches whoever the Vegas quarterback is?
Well, they're going to draft Mendoza. So you know who their quarterback is.
Right.
How much certainty you want to have about that being a can't miss. That can be all over the road, but that seems like a can't miss right now. There's really nothing behind him quarterback-wise in this year's draft that's that exciting, at least at a high pick, at least at this point is how I view it. But that could be very enticing. That is a hot. That's a number one prospect. Not because there isn't anybody else, but I think if there were 3 or 4 other guys, I feel like Mendoza would already still be the top guy. Like he's earned that standing. He's not Cam Ward, is all I'm saying. Right? Ward was sort of propped up by there's not many people here, and so he does enough good things, so he's 101. I think Mendoza is 101 and with a bullet. So but there's, got to be concerns about ownership and stuff, and because it's the Raiders, which, is kind of a sinkhole. So I wonder where the guy's head is at. But no, you're right. I mean, maybe the thing that's important to keep in mind is how much do you want to trust Schefter saying this is going to all be done by Wednesday? Because if it's all done by Wednesday, the Bills aren't even talking to Clint Kubiak.
No, right.
They're not. They're never going to get a call in.
If it's all done by next Wednesday, they're not talking to him.
That's right. Because 2 weeks from today is the soonest
That's right.
they could talk to him.
Yeah, so I don't think it's likely, but I guess it's possible. It's possible if they both really want each other. And I don't know. Kubiak's probably got it pretty good right now. How about Darnold? He's their quarterback next year also. Like, he's not – like, last year, he was up, right? Minnesota?
Yeah.
And then he left. But he's got another year or two in Seattle. And that happened.
I mean,
that happened.
He answered every question
with
that game.
With a flourish. Last night I was thinking this watching him. I mean, it was such a good game. He is kind of like, I couldn't think of the word this morning. He's not a thrilling player. He's not like Allen in the highlight reel fashion. But what Darnold is he is about to get trucked on every play, and he gets the ball out just in time perfectly. He does the Allen stuff from the pocket. And there were so many plays last night, like, ugh, and he throws a touchdown pass. Like, there were 2 touchdown passes, I think, that there were just like that, where it looked like the one to Smith and Jigba.
The one that in the corner of the end zone?
Yeah,
he gets absolutely, there's a guy right in his face as he throws that ball.
Rolling left, and just at the last possible moment if he sees him earlier, he throws it earlier because the guy's so open. But Darnold has this way of, he's going to get hit. But man, everybody uses the term arm talent with him. When I was talking to Matthew Collar every week on Purple Insider last year, when Darnold was there, people made fun of the notion that he's like super talented. But Matt was like, you got to see him practice because you can't believe it. Like, coaches, they can't believe how great he is at getting the ball to the spot. I mean, he throws the ball hard too. Like, the reason it would go south is if he's under pressure all the time and cracks, and that could be even mental pressure. But man, he didn't. They had to play the Niners and the Rams.
Yep.
And they clubbed the Niners and, outlasted the Rams last night. Super job. He's the Super Bowl MVP favorite right now. Sam Darnold. Christopher Parker, Samuel L.
Reinhardt Darnold.
Jackson Darnold. Samson Darnold. What is his name going to be? Kubiak's got the best middle name, by the way, of anybody.
I don't feel like guessing.
Alexander.
Okay.
Sam Richard Darnold. No nicknames. You got guys out here with 10 nicknames at Pro Football Reference. He's got none. There's not a nickname there? Maybe one like Ghost Seer. It'd probably be something like negative.
Right.
If he's got a nick. That should change.
Casper. We just call him Casper.
I saw Casper. He's the first player since Eli Manning. You know this one? In 2007. To make the Super Bowl after leading the NFL that season in turnovers.
I did not know that one.
Yep. 14 picks. That didn't lead the league, but he must have had fumbles as well. We'll take a break. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog at 4 o'clock. Sal Capaccio. Eric Wood's season is over, sadly. Sal's going to jump on at 4, his latest analysis of the coaching search and also the Super Bowl matchup, Championship Sunday. One game super cool. The other one I thought really depressing. First, we'll talk about that next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR. for listening. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. Welcome back here for all your latest coaching rumors and speculation and even news here and there. Sal will join us. Sal Capaccio coming up in less than 15 minutes. Let's go to John here next. Hi, John.
Hey, guys. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Listen, something I found really fascinating after watching the AFC Championship game. The Bills, in 15 playoff games with Josh Allen, have allowed 16 points or fewer only 2 times. 2 out of 15 games, they've allowed 16 points or fewer. That was the divisional versus the Ravens in 2020 and the wild card versus the Broncos in 24. And this year with the Patriots, they allowed 16 points or fewer in 3 of 3 games. So if there's any listeners out there who think, firing McDermott was a mistake, they signed the petition to bring him back, I think you're wrong. And lastly, with the new coach, I think Kubiak is the right decision. If you're really worried about not getting him, it sounds crazy, but I think maybe you should do a little tampering. Give up a 6th-round pick if it means you're going to get the coach of your future. And if you don't want to do that and you can't get him, I think they should go for Udinski. But really, Kubiak, I think it's going all in for him. Yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's the point of the draft? Whatever.
That's also a two-way street. The candidate might not. Why would you need to do that? If he really wants to coach the Bills, maybe he can.
Yeah.
And it just happens in 2 weeks. I don't know. Maybe there's some way to just settle for that. I hope somebody brings up that petition every day for the rest of my career. It's so funny. The things that are out there that are like, what? Like there's a petition. Why? What's going to happen? Tell me what's going to happen. How many names would you need? How many names are signing a petition to have McDermott, just undo the firing?
I guess that's the point, yeah.
We're that bored as a society? I mean, sorry, but these continuing references to a petition. When was the last petition that worked in the world? It's like at a school board, maybe. You can get a petition in a small town.
Was there a petition prior to the Boston Tea Party? Maybe that worked.
The Alien and I blew it. The Alien and Petition Act.
Wow.
I had it right there and I rushed it.
Yeah.
The Alien and Petition Act. Yes, that was around that time. That's the first petition known to man in world history. Or I don't know. You're trying to get a barn saved from being taken down because Merlin Olsen used to go there as a student and just train horses.
Are we ever somewhere?
That could have been anybody.
I'm not sure where it is.
Sorry.
We're somewhere. Yeah.
That could have been a successful petition drive.
I thought, credit to the Patriots defense, but I'd love to get to play Jarrett Stidham in a blizzard.
Not to mention Stroud and Herbert.
In an AFC title game and have Stroud put the ball on the ground or give you the ball 5 times, whatever it was. I mean, bring them their flowers. They did it. And the Bills did give up 30 points to Skylar Thompson, I guess. So there is that. I mean, whatever. I don't need to jump to McDermott's defense. I'm more than fine with them moving on.
But you know what?
But just don't try too hard to give New England credit. They're right now I haven't even looked. What is the line?
Seattle by 4.5.
Oh, that's it.
Let's go.
Wow.
4.5, 45.5. 25 to 20.5 would be your implied final. You and I, as you know, have not seen exactly eye to eye on where to put the blame with these Bills playoff losses, offense or defense. And there are stats for everybody. Go to Sneaky Joe and his fourth quarter stats, offense, and their stats for any argument you want to make, you can probably make it. But I don't think it went anywhere this year. I don't think it left us, this continuing debate about it, because quintessentially that game could be put on either unit. I mean, maybe there are worse defensive performances in a playoff game, but it's like Bo Nix in the 30s and, 5 turnovers on offense, right? So you have that. He also had the offense with the ball to win the game.
Right.
Again, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So go anywhere you want on that one, I think.
Go anywhere you want, except to me trying to blame the defense for that game. When you turn it over 5 times and only give up 16 points off of those turnovers, I have and you stop the other team gets the ball first in overtime because you won the toss and you stop them. I don't want to hear my defense let me down. I mean, just stop, at least in that game. But again, the big picture, something had to change. I support that. I just always thought it was overcooked, and I definitely would push back even harder if anybody cared. But we don't, because it's all over. He's gone. But
it'll come up.
That game last Saturday, to me, cannot be laid at the door of the defense.
Even that game, you don't want to go down the Skylar Thompson road, as you said. But the Bills hugely outgained Miami that day. They also gave up a defensive touchdown. So even the point total there is stretching it a little bit.
Yeah.
But it is the number. Sal Capaccio next. Thanks, John. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
continue their search for the team's next head coach. Today, they have officially interviewed Denver passing game coordinator and quarterback coach Davis Webb. But following this, one difficulty in this search is that the Bills cannot speak to any of the coaches on either Seattle or New England until after the Super Bowl, 2 weeks from now, after not doing any initial interviews prior with the candidates of those teams. However, that may not prove to actually be any kind of problem. Adam Schefter had this to say earlier today with Pat McAfee when talking about how fast the coaching carousel could end.
I would think that we would have all these head coaching jobs filled this week, probably sooner rather than later. I wouldn't be surprised if by Wednesday there are no openings left at this point in time.
Along with Buffalo, the other three openings are Cleveland, Arizona, and Las Vegas. And for Cleveland, Jags offensive coordinator Grant Yudinsky did pull himself from consideration for that opening. And do stay tuned. We'll get more on the Bills. Sal Capaccio does join the show next. To the Sabres, just practiced today. No Josh Norris, though, on the ice. Head coach Lindy Ruff unsure if Norris will be available for the Sabres by the end of the week. And the team is working through if they should actually hold him out until after the Olympic break. Sabres, though, they have won 3 in a row, and they're on the road in Toronto tomorrow night. Stay tuned. We'll get more on the Sabres when Paul Hamilton joins the show around 6 p.m. And then in the league tonight, just 4 games. 3 of them are at 7. Rangers host Boston, the Islanders there in Philly, and the Lightning, they host Utah. While at 8:30, the Ducks there in Edmonton to take on the Oilers. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Bulldog, I know, still not likely to happen, but are there visions of riches dancing in your head over the possibility of Nick Emenwari being the Super Bowl MVP? I'm over here texting with Sam. Trivia questions. Last defensive player I asked you, Von Miller, was the last defensive player to win Super Bowl MVP. Did it in this same stadium, Super Bowl 50 against Sean McDermott's Panthers. That's how long ago this was. Super Bowl 50. Now it's Super Bowl 60.
Mm-hmm.
And is it not plausible that a defensive player, even from New England, but that a defensive player could contend for this award?
I loved how much attention he got last night on the broadcast. I felt like they talked about him, not so much you're like, oh my God, already stop, but like they highlighted him a number of times, and I feel like that set the table nicely. If he can, do a couple of things besides just defend passes. I mean, you're going to need to take the ball away, a sack, a scoop and score, something in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I like this, but every year we've looked at these odds since we've been able to do it, and I remember one year I really liked Nick Bosa.
Yes.
So it's like I'd never win, but
well, that was against Mahomes. This is against Drake May.
Right.
I don't know. I'm going to enjoy the next 2 weeks.
That's my dude. Emenwari. Love him.
Sal Capaccio with us now on the West Her hotline. Maybe we'll get to yesterday's games here while we talk. But, Sal, let's get the latest from you as you know it on the coaching search. First of all, does it surprise you or not, really, to hear Adam Schefter say that it wouldn't surprise him for every one of these remaining openings to be filled by Wednesday?
It doesn't surprise me to hear Adam Schefter say it. I'm skeptical of that at this point, but things do move fast. And if you like somebody, in this case, obviously the Bills, after interviewing, 7, 8 people, you move quicker because you need to start getting a staff in place. So that part could happen. I'm still wondering if that would be the case, especially if the Bills really do think they want to, talk to Clint Kubiak. They're going to have to wait 2 weeks. I just don't know if that's feasible. So if that would really be the only question for me. If they are willing to do that, then of course you're not getting anything in the next 2 days. But if they feel they have to move, then, by Wednesday, wouldn't be totally shocking if we hear that there's somebody they really like and they're bringing back.
Yeah, I wonder if a part of that, from Schefter's standpoint, like I wonder what he knows that makes him say that. I mean, obviously he must feel comfortable that everyone's got a favorite. and there's a lean one way or another. I wonder if that means he thinks the Raiders are going to hire Clint Kubiak, right? They can talk to him a second time and are doing so because they talked to him during the bye week window, I think. And so, because that would, because it removes the Bills from having even the option to talk to him. Like if that's going to be settled, then there's no point waiting, and that would cause you to move on some other candidates if you're the Bills.
Totally right. Like, I mean, there's two parts to this. A, what I just said about are the Bills willing to wait if they really like him as an idea? Second part is, would he take the job, or is he thinking about another job or going somewhere else? And if you start to wait
or
and
just
he
staying
takes
put,
the job and then you're kind of screwed that way. So time is very important here in all of this when it comes to each side of the equation here.
You guys both conveniently, once again, just leaving out the name Doug Marrone with this speculation about assistance on the Super Bowl teams, the offensive line coach of the Patriots. Experienced. All right, I'm kidding. Probably. Sal, do you think of any candidate at this point as the favorite in the Bills search?
I've long believed, if you would have asked me this a couple of days ago, that I'd probably inch Daboll ahead of everybody. It wouldn't be by a lot, but I'm starting to think that maybe Grant Udinski is right there, maybe as a lead guy. I think it's, to me, I would say it would come from one of the four names, the way I read it right now, which is Daboll, Udinski, Kubiak, or Webb. But I've also felt that Webb is probably a bit too much of a reach right now, like too much of a leap, as much as they might like him. And maybe he could be an offensive coordinator, right? That would be actually a movement up for him, considering his title. And then Kubiak, considering what we just said, that would narrow me down more towards Udinski and Daboll. And I have to be honest with you, I'd really like a lot of things I'm hearing from and about Udinski, and the fact that you follow the breadcrumbs, right? Which is he cancels his interview or pulls out of the interview and withdraws his name from Cleveland. He's getting a pay bump and, a new contract or whatever in Jacksonville, but they also made it clear if he gets the Bills job, that's fine. He can still do that and pursue that. And to me, that just means there's probably some smoke around that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like maybe it went well. Maybe they want to, make sure that he knows he's cared for if he chooses to stay. But that, I would think that there's some reason to leave him that opportunity. Maybe he feels like it went well enough to consider, like, this is still something I could go do. You didn't mention Brady there among those four names. And they've talked to him. Obviously, they know him very well. He's been here. And unlike Kubiak, like, there's nothing in the way there with Brady. Is there a reason you omitted him, or was it just you just didn't mention him?
I never really felt he was near the front of the line here.
Okay.
The minute that they fired Sean McDermott and the way that everything went down was handled and talked about, I've kind of felt that nobody on staff would get this job. I don't know if you can do that. I think the optics of that, would look a little weird. Like, hey, we know we're going to fire the guy who's been in charge of all this, and because that we haven't gotten to a Super Bowl, but hire somebody who's been on staff with him for the last several years, who's kind of been a leader of the group anyway. Mm-hmm. It just feels a little different. It feels a little odd to do something like that. So I've never felt that Joe Brady was in any position to be near the front of this line, like I said, although I would say that Josh Allen matters here, right? And if Josh Allen says, hey, I don't want you to let Joe Brady leave the building, then that would matter. I don't know if Josh feels that way. I'm sure I know they get along, they like each other, and all that. He's talking about him very highly, but I omitted him on purpose, I guess, is the answer to your question, because I've just never felt that he would be a top candidate.
What happened with Mike McDaniel, if you know?
I don't know what happened, but just kind of knowing how these things go and seeing that, I believe today he did sign in L.A., right, with the Chargers. Mm-hmm. I get the feeling that he probably felt, you know what, I got a good thing in L.A., they want me, I could keep going through the process. What if I do that and get to the end and it's not right for me, if it's not right for them, let me just take the, bird in the hand kind of sort of thing and take a year away to reevaluate and maybe get my stock up and see what else is out there. So it feels like that is the case. Whereas Rivers, and you guys know this, I said this last week to you guys about Rivers.
Made sense.
Like, to me, always, the whole thing about Phillip Rivers to me was always, you know what? He wants to be a coach someday. The agent and Josh Allen agent are the same guy. Agents were both. Why not get in the same room, let my client get some experience, which is valuable for him going through the interview process because he wants to be a coach. And then you guys can also pick his brain, and you never know. If there's something you like there, maybe you revisit him for a staff spot down the road. And I've never felt that he was going to actually get the job, and I think that that's kind of proven out here. And the fact that he has withdrawn and said, not right for him, family, all those kinds of things. I think his son is a senior right now in high school, and you guys know he coaches that team and all that. It just never felt like it was going to be time for him.
Yeah. How much of a concern, if it's one at all for you, Sal, is there that Udinski has not been a play caller? You know, like if we're dipping into an offensive head coach is what we're thinking about, and he certainly has been working on that side of the ball, both in Minnesota and now in Jacksonville with Liam Cohen. But I wonder, like, is this a guy – I'm assuming he doesn't have a binder full of plays. Or maybe he does. He's been preparing for this moment. I don't know. I just wonder if he's got, a book, so to speak, that he's ready to show them what he can do if he's not ever been a coordinator, at least in the NFL.
Well, I guess the first question would be, do you plan on calling plays? Right? We don't know that. I mean, maybe he wants to be a head coach and says, I'm going to hire an offensive coordinator. I want to be the CEO. I want to hire Brian Dable or Davis Webb or somebody else. Mm-hmm. We don't know that. Now, I think that the assumption is, and I think you would be on board here, that you hire him, he's going to call the plays, right? And that's fine. Now, I talked with Ryan Green today. Didn't you guys have Hacker on, Ryan Green, a couple weeks ago? You might have, from Jacksonville.
Yes.
He's really good. And Ryan, I had him on my show today, and I kind of asked him, like, what you're getting in this guy, and how do we know? Like, he's never really called plays. And he said, listen, anytime you would look at Liam Cohen on the sidelines, he was right there with him. Like, he was involved in everything. So my guess is he would just kind of pull out, hey, I've been with Liam Cohen, I've been with Kevin O'Connell, I've been with all these really excellent play callers and offensive minds, and all it is really a transfer of me doing the same thing that they've been doing, but I've kind of been the proxy, so to speak, doing the same thing. So is it a concern for me? Sure. If he's going to be the play caller, I kind of need to know what that's going to look like, but I would take a leap of faith in thinking that he's been around these guys, he understands it, he knows it. We don't know. Does he say, like, look, I might not be the play caller. I might hire somebody to do that.
He's got, references, even at a young age.
Yeah.
O'Connell in Minnesota and Cohen in Jacksonville, and even perhaps Matt Rule, who was at Baylor when Udinski was a grad assistant. I don't know if he would have a book of plays at that point of his career, but, I would think in this kind of situation, somebody over there knows Kevin O'Connell, and he would talk to you about just like, what came from Grant Udinski. By the way, I want to say, too, and I don't mean this to be sarcastic, but in thinking of this idea that these candidates have, like, books and evidence, I just imagine Brady just showing hook and ladders over and over. Look, has anybody ever perfected the hook and ladder? I don't think so.
I did
every
this
week.
3 times.
We did this it worked every time.
Lost all the games.
19
but
yards.
It worked 3 times.
It worked every time. This is an example of what I can bring to your program. Just saying.
I was thinking about the same kind of thing, and sort of the same lines the other day, which is, if I'm Brian Dable, as much as they know me, I walk in there and I literally just put on a highlight tape of Josh Allen in 2020 and 2021. Okay. That's all you got to do, right? Like, here, I was your guy here when this all happened.
You want to be showing receivers open, right? Like, because otherwise you're showing a Josh Allen tape. Here's what I was able to do. All the stuff that got them off the ground, Sal. Play action and motion and the cheat code stuff that not everybody in the league was doing. And then it's like, look, here's Gabe Davis, who you'd never heard of before, alone 20 yards downfield. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder, like, Sal, Udinski, to me right now, feels like my favorite idea.
Right.
Something could change that. I ask you the question about the play calling because, it's one thing that could cause you to want to pump the brakes on it a little bit, but mostly everything I've read and heard about him sounds really, really positive. Although, that's the case with most of these guys, like the way the machine works. Right? A guy is this candidate, and there's a pool of them, you don't usually get what are the negatives on their resume. It's always propping up what they've done and what they can do for you. And I wonder, with all that said, how realistic, you just said it, maybe Udinski doesn't call plays, maybe Dayball calls plays. I gotta feel like who you're gonna bring with you is maybe in this case, because you've lost, at least for now, you've lost your defensive coach. I guess they could retain Babbage and try to keep that in place and have some continuity on that side of the ball if they so choose. But who is Grant Udinski bringing with him to run the defense, right?
Yeah.
If you tell me if Jim Schwartz doesn't get a head coaching job, he wants to come work with Grant Udinski, then Grant Udinski goes even higher up my list, although it's hard to get higher than one, right? If Brian Dayball wants to stay here and work as the coordinator with Grant Udinski, same point. That sounds like a dream team to me. Can I count on that? I just wonder how possible it is that they end up pulling more than one of these names into the boat during this cycle for jobs under whoever gets the head coach job.
Well, I think that the Daboll and Webb names, those guys, in this particular situation could be more likely than in many other situations when these things come up, present themselves, simply because of their affinity for this place and this quarterback. And I think it's very important to remember here that Davis Webb is not the offensive coordinator in title of the Denver Broncos. He is the quarterback's coach and passing game coordinator. Offensive coordinator, calling plays or not, is a bump. It is not a lateral move. It allows him to say, I want to go to Buffalo to do that. Now, I'm using him as an example here, but I will tell you, it's also not the worst thing in the world for Davis Webb, learning right now and still learning and continuing to work under Sean Payton, who's really good at that, right? And an offensive guy, and he's done a really good job so far. They got to the AFC Championship game, of course. But I think in this situation, that guy, Davis Webb, knowing, okay, Josh Allen, offensive coordinator, same thing with Brian Daboll. Now, Daboll, he's been around the league, and the reporting is, he would have an opportunity maybe to go to Tennessee to be the offensive coordinator. And he could very well take that. He also, we know, he loves Buffalo. His kids still live here. He loves coming back to Buffalo. He loves Josh Allen. I just think that it's a little unique right now with those names still possible to do what you're saying, Bulldog. Now, on the other side of the ball, yeah, it's a big question. I wanted that today too, which is, well, who are you going to get for your defensive coordinator? I'm trying to figure out, what connections does Udinski have? Who's in Jacksonville with him? Who is in, Minnesota with him? It's funny you bring up Jim Schwartz, because the opposite, actually, when you said, could he bring Jim Schwartz? I think, according to Ryan, actually, Ryan Green was on with me today, and I think this makes sense. Ryan Green said a reason why he might have pulled out of Cleveland was because Cleveland wants to keep Jim Schwartz in the building, and they may have told him, if you get hired here, you got to keep him. And he said, no, I want my own guy.
Interesting.
So there's some of that going on. So all of these things could really kind of be tied together, obviously.
I know we've talked about this maybe even recently, but back then, 2021 is Daboll's fourth and final season with the Bills. That's 13 seconds. He then parlays his experience here into the Giants job. And Webb was on the team. That was his 1 year with the Bills. What's the skinny on how the quarterback room worked? Because Webb is getting this credit for being an important voice on that offense, and this is a Daboll offense. What went down?
So Davis Webb, I think you guys probably remember this. When he was here in Buffalo, it was known right away that he wanted to be a coach. He was gearing his career towards coaching. And in fact, at that time, I remember people going, why does he just become a coach now? Well, we wanted to play. He's making money, and it's a different life being a player versus a coach. And he was still in, younger part of his career. But he's always wanted to be a coach. He's geared everything he's done towards where he is right now. So when he was in these meetings, when he was in the quarterback room, a lot of what he did was trying to see things through a coach's lens. Yes, he was still a player on the team, but he was very much involved in helping Josh prepare for games. And it wasn't from necessarily a coach's standpoint. It's almost like Micah Hyde last year, right? Coming back, and the development of Cole Bishop and what he mattered, and Jordan Poyer this year. And I've talked with Cole Bishop, and Jordan Poyer about that. And I said, well, what is the dynamic when you're in there together? And I think it's probably the same, which is sometimes you just need some different eyes who see it from a different lens. You can talk through it and say, what are you seeing here? What are you doing? And I think Davis Webb, that was that guy for Josh Allen. And he was doing it for his own purposes of, I'm going to be doing this someday. I'm going to be a coach someday. Mm-hmm. And that's what everything was geared towards. And then obviously once, a couple of years went by and Davis Webb knew that he wasn't going to be really getting a shot to be a quarterback in the NFL, he said, okay, that's it. I'm going to coach. Let's go. I got these connections. And off he went. And it was regarded to be a very, very, good, tight, and smart quarterback room where they all just kind of contributed their voices.
And he did go to Daboll's Giants to play in his second season. He was the third-string quarterback on the overachieving Coach of the Year Giants team that beat Minnesota in the playoffs. So Webb was the third-string guy there. Daniel Jones, Tyrod Taylor, and then Webb.
Yeah, and Brian has also had an assistant named Shea Tierney who's been with him. You might remember his name. Shea has been with him since Alabama, and he came to Buffalo with him, and then he went to New York with him. And I don't know where Shea's situation stands right now, but I wouldn't doubt if he came back. He was a part of this organization who got a lot of credit. Remember when Matt Barkley came in that Jets game and had this incredible game that day? Mm-hmm. Shea Tierney got a lot of credit that week for working with Matt Barkley during that week and getting him ready. So, there's different people that obviously this would impact to have maybe some ties to Buffalo before.
Webb played their Week 18 game. It's his one start in the league, the Giants. In that 22 season, they lost to Philadelphia through a touchdown pass to, the name's hilarious, Kenny Galladay. Week 18 finale. Wow. That might have been it for Galladay. I don't know. Sal, a couple takeaways from you about yesterday's games. What do you have on each game?
I mean, the decision not to kick the field goal, I think was important, obviously. In the moment, and I get it, we always second guess these things, but in the moment I thought he should have, just because of the conditions, just because of the fact that maybe this is going to be a low-scoring game, so that obviously hurt. A week ago I tweeted, the Patriots are going to play Jarrett Stidham, and because of that they're going to go to the Super Bowl. And then all of a sudden it started off okay, but guess why they're going to the Super Bowl? Because Jarrett Stidham made a terrible, horrible mistake with the football. And that's really kind of the difference in the game and where they are. It just sucked that, the conditions there, you couldn't really get a real game out of that. Wild game last night, though. I just think, I'll say this. If you were, and one of the names that I was thinking about over the weekend that I didn't think was getting enough maybe love or thought was Chris Shula maybe for the Bills, right? Not that I had necessarily heard anything, but I wonder if the Bills would entertain Chris Shula. Maybe it's still down the road they can here now that his season's over. But, man, Clint Kubiak was much better than Chris Shula yesterday, offense to defense, and how all that went down. I also think, as great as Sean McVay is, you go back many years, he's made a lot of really questionable decisions late in games with timeouts and clock management. And I think yesterday was another one, and there was a timeout there he shouldn't have taken. And it goes back to a couple of years ago, that same thing happened in a NFC Championship game. So I think Seattle's the better team than New England. I think that Seattle, I know they're favored, but, you give 2 weeks here, Drake May can throw the football down the field, and a couple times, Stafford was able to take advantage of that. You guys were talking about the Super Bowl 50. Mm-hmm. Well, this is a rematch. Remember what happened then, Mike? Your little Thursday night
opening
game.
night.
Remember opening night was the rematch. Well, guess what? Next year, Patriots do play Seahawks next year.
Yeah, I keep thinking about your Australia point. Or was it someone else who said maybe that's the opener because of the distance to travel, and that's the Rams? But that
what I was led to believe was, and I believe this might happen, I'm not sure. So the NFL can't actually play Friday night next year on opening weekend because of the rule about high school sports and whatever. And I think you guys, you know that there was a rule about that's in play. People talk about. I don't think they can play Friday night next year like they did this year because of the calendar and where it falls. I think they can play Saturday night. And I think that would be week 1, Saturday night in Australia. That allows, Saturday night our time, whatever it be there, that allows them to have a little extra time to get back to the States.
Okay.
And then maybe they would play Monday night the following week.
Okay, so that wouldn't even be the opening game. The opening game would still be probably the Thursday night game at the home of the Super Bowl winner, and then you have the Rams. This is a version of the Brazil game, I suppose. We'll have time.
Yeah, but the issue, Mike, I think you're referring to might be if the Rams had actually won the Super Bowl, how would they play in Australia week 1? You're supposed to open up the stadium. You're supposed to open the season week 1 in LA. And I think that's where the flying in the ointment came in. And then what do you do with Australia? Do you put that week 2? You know what I mean?
What do you do with Australia? Indeed. Well, that'll be fun to get into when it's time. And we decided that was today. Very good. Thank you, Sal. We'll talk again very soon.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
That's our Sal Capaccio on the Wester Hotline. His appearances are always brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet?
Quick break here. Lines open, 803-0550. We'll be talking mostly football until 6. We'll get some Sabres in throughout. But Paul Hamilton will join us at 6 o'clock, and we'll get into a very exciting time with the Sabres. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
of them. We'll get to the other three here in just a moment. The Bills, though, did complete their 8th head coaching interview today, officially with Denver pass game coordinator and quarterback coach Davis Webb. Following this, though, they do have some difficulties in that search, as the Bills cannot speak to any of the coaches in either Seattle or New England until after the Super Bowl. It is 2 weeks from now. Due to this, they did not have any initial interviews prior with candidates from those teams, so they'll have to wait until after the Super Bowl. That, though, may not prove to be any kind of problem. Adam Schefter had this to say earlier today with Pat McAfee on the coaching carousel.
I would think that we would have all these head coaching jobs filled this week, probably sooner rather than later. I wouldn't be surprised if by Wednesday there are no openings left at this point in time.
The other openings are Cleveland, Arizona, and Las Vegas. And then if you were waiting to see something with Mike McDaniel, he has officially taken the LA Chargers offensive coordinator job. To the Sabres, just practiced today. No Josh Norris on the ice. Head coach Lindy Ruff is unsure if Norris will be available for the Sabres by the end of the week, and the team is mulling over the idea of holding him out until after the Olympic break. Sabres, though, they have won 3 in a row and are in Toronto tomorrow night. We'll get more on the Sabres in a little bit when Paul Hamilton joins the show at 6. And then around the league, just 4 games tonight, and there was supposed to be 5. Columbus and LA, though, they got postponed until March 9th due to weather in central Ohio. And then the 4 games tonight, 3 of them are at 7. Rangers host Boston. The Islanders, they're in Philly. And the Lightning, they host Utah. Then at 8:30, the Ducks, they're in Edmonton to take on the Oilers. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
I was spending all day of every day with Kevin, so I'm getting a behind-the-scenes 360-degree look at what does a head coach's day look like, who does a head coach interact with, what are his different responsibilities, what do those interactions look like, what are the demands that not only the football side of the building has on it, but the business side, athletic training staff, strength and conditioning staff, nutrition staff, all those pieces of the puzzle, how they come together and how a head coach manages all of that. And that gave me great education and insight into how the whole organization and how the team really operates.
Grant Udinski, may that be the first time you've heard his voice. That's from before the season. I mentioned my conversations with Matt Collar in Minnesota, and I know from talking to him, not a lot about Udinski, but just like O'Connell was keen on him. It sounds like he had sort of a wide range of responsibilities. Even some of them are kind of like silly. Maybe. What does it say on Wikipedia? Something about that. But yeah, this is a name that keeps coming up. 803-0550 for your calls. Let's go to Patrick next. Hi, Patrick.
Yes, good afternoon. I think a name that we haven't heard of enough is Mike LaFleur from the Los Angeles Rams, the offensive coordinator. He's a student under Kyle Shanahan previously. He interned with him in Cleveland. He was with him in Atlanta. He followed him to San Francisco. He's been under McVay for a couple of years. Steelhouse, he's over top of him. He was the offensive coordinator with the Jets, which means he has a solid connection. His brother, Matt LaFleur, is best friends with Robert Saleh, was his best man at his wedding, I believe. So he possibly could have a little inroad into the defensive side there. And nobody's talking about him, and I just don't know why. I think their personnel sets are very similar to what Buffalo runs. They've been able to hit on some receivers in late rounds. And I don't know why that name's not coming up.
Yeah, it's a good case. He's the favorite in Arizona.
Right, going for a second interview, I read.
He's somebody that would have had to wait until today for the Bills to give him a call. But, reasonable. Yeah. Sounds like a pretty good resume.
I'm not sure. The caller mentioned Saleh there. I don't know if that was to mean he would have maybe inroads into other candidates. Saleh got hired as the Tennessee head coach. So, you talk to Mike LaFleur, he's not bringing Robert Saleh with him. And I'm not sure that's what Patrick meant, but I don't think it was. He mentioned Saleh's name, so I just wasn't really sure what to do with that. Just wanted to mention that I guess I'm bragging. I knew that Tennessee hired Robert Saleh.
I wanted to ask Sal about Bobby Babich, but we didn't have time to do that. I didn't think to do that before we started talking about who's going to play in Australia. Anything there? He's just hanging out, waiting to hear, like some of these other Bills assistants?
I guess, yeah.
Defensive coordinator. He has a tree.
Yeah.
Well, he's on a tree.
He's on a tree.
He doesn't have his own tree
He's a branch on a McDermott tree, I think.
And his dad.
Yeah.
Right?
So
I'm just wondering what
I don't know.
on there.
Yeah, like you've not seen his name anywhere. Not that I would be expecting him to be getting head coaching interviews off of this 1-year stint or 2 years as defensive coordinator with the Bills, really under the shadow of McDermott. He's one of these guys that will have to prove that he can actually do it without someone above him, basically.
Thanks, Patrick. Let's go to Dan next. Hello, Dan.
Hey guys, how you doing today?
Okay, thank you.
Hey, you guys were talking a little bit about Dable and Webb and that connection there. I do think that's a good one. The other piece of that I don't think we talk enough about was when Buffalo really had some good wide receivers was the connection with Chad Hall. I thought the team lost a lot when Chad Hall left and, went down to Jacksonville. And now I believe he was actually with Daboll at the Giants. So potentially when he comes back to the team or if he comes back as coach, maybe he brings Chad Hall back. I thought the wide receivers took a step back when Hall left. And I know the talent level certainly dropped. Won't argue that.
Right. But that's what I'm waiting to say. Yeah, right.
As we saw with Aaron Kromer, though, at times good coaching can pick up mediocre talent as well. And I wonder if Chad Hall can bring some of that back as well.
Another good idea. When I think of his name, when I hear his name, I think of the Tyler Dunn Bills piece. They bought him a truck.
The receivers got together and bought him a truck, and McDermott was said to be
furious.
I was going to say annoyed, but I don't remember the wording. But it didn't go over well with McDermott, is how Ty wrote it. Yeah.
Guess not to worry anymore.
Right.
That's a good idea, too. He was popular with his players, is what I remember from that and just hearing in general. 803-0550 for your ideas. They don't even have to be that good. Those are both well-informed fans with, tree knowledge, and they know their history.
Tree knowledge. It is tree season.
It is tree season. That's
what the coaching.
That is pretty much right.
Right.
It's also Super Bowl prop bet season.
The draft is tools. Pre-draft is tool season. Like the combine is tool season. This is tree season.
And smokescreen season.
Right.
This isn't really that. There's no real reason for smokescreens now.
I guess not. No, I don't think so.
Get your guy. It's get your guy season and tree season.
Right.
The Steelers did. They got their guy.
Kudos to them.
Mike Congarts.
Thank you for
McCarthy.
alleviating any possibility that Mike McCarthy was going to walk in a room and Terry Pagula was just going to go, "There's my coach." Thank you.
Mike Congarts, they're calling him. No, they're not calling him that. Super Bowl props are out.
And now they're talking about Aaron Rodgers again.
Lovely.
We expect to have a decision within a month, I saw ownership say.
Yeah.
Which is like last year. That's how this started last year, and it wasn't until when? When did he actually decide he was going to Pittsburgh? June?
Week 1.
I don't remember. Was it early as June? I can't remember. But I love that they're going to maybe run that back. I mean,
do not expect that to proceed with alacrity.
That is amazing.
Rodgers.
Anyway, sorry. Twice you've mentioned Super Bowl prop season, and I keep interjecting with other time-killing things.
A streaker at the Super Bowl, minus 500 to the no.
Minus 500, no.
Yeah.
Why? I just feel like we're in prime streaker
season
territory.
Are we?
Yeah, I mean,
territory?
There's so much going on in the country. I would think like the chances of someone wanting to make a point during the marquee sporting event seems higher than normal.
Might not be safe.
So I don't know. I want to see what the yes number is on that.
Plus 300. It's a scam. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get good value.
Yeah, no.
You need to find like the coin toss, which will hopefully you just get like almost no vig as they try to bring you in to their growing family. Like BetOnline is minus 101, heads or tails. Who's got the anthem? Jeremy Hoyle. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be awesome. Did you see Nathaniel Ratcliffe in Denver yesterday, by the way?
Yes.
I like him. I like that they played at Borderland last year. They were one of the big headliners on one of the nights. I don't remember what night, Saturday night maybe. Anyway.
Was that the anthem?
Yeah, he sang
That's
the
who that
anthem
was?
in Denver yesterday. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't love it.
I just like him, so I like that someone that I know. Like normally, these are people that I just don't have any very little idea who they are. I was like, oh, I know who that is. I saw this guy last summer.
I can totally relate to that exact
so
sentence.
like, all right, cool. So yeah, I don't know. I know Green Day is playing before the game in some capacity.
Charlie Puth,
and I know that Bad Bunny is the halftime entertainment, but I don't. Charlie, that's who it is?
Yeah.
Should I know who that is?
Pop.
Yeah.
Music.
All right.
Not necessarily.
So no.
I do because of my kids.
Yeah. Okay.
Although we've kind of moved out of pop phase.
Oh yeah.
In my house.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah. Brandi Carlile will sing America the Beautiful, and you and I have seen her.
She opened for Ray at CMAC that one year we were there together.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I like her a lot too. All right, great. This is all working out for me.
Everything is coming up Bulldog.
Everything's coming up Bulldog.
Christopher Parker, Brandi Carlile.
Yeah. Nathaniel Ratliff. We've got Green Day, Bad Bunny.
Why didn't I like the anthem?
I don't know a bunch about Bad Bunny, but whatever.
Too slow?
I'm here for it.
Why didn't I like the anthem? I'm trying to remember why I didn't like it.
You didn't like the guy's coat, maybe.
That wasn't it.
No? Okay.
Wouldn't have been that.
All right.
That game just got so stupid with the snow.
Yeah.
Wow. It just happened so fast.
Yeah, it did.
And they say it's like wind and not snow, but you might not have been prepared for that. And when think of the game with Indianapolis here. Like,
right. That's what it started to look
do?
like. Yeah, it really was that bad. I mean, Romo was the first one of the two of them that I heard say, it's so much worse than what it looks like on TV. Right? Like, you get that, and then it's, the going the one way, you just can't do anything. You just cannot do anything. You're gonna hand it off 3 times and kick it away and hope the punt goes well. Like, that's what we got to. It's just so hard to play like that. And they did. I really appreciated that CBS did this. At one point, they showed, like, here, sunny skies in warm-ups, just still shots of this was, 1 o'clock Mountain Time. Here's 3 o'clock. And it just, all of a sudden, here's a blizzard.
They got to use the big numbers on the field at one point to show you what the yard lines were. Right. But then they got away from that. Nance said he didn't know.
Yeah.
At what point, what
there was
yard
one
line
series
the ball
that was starting. He said, I can't tell you where they are.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That should have been easier. That should have been doable.
Yeah.
And for it to be, I think it sort of checks that it would be worse if you're there. But man, if you can't see what yard line the ball is on, have really kind of no chance of it's not great on TV either. It came across. We got the point. They love to say conditions over and over. They kept using this snow. You could have used conditions. It was always, you have wind too. Just that Bills Colts game was also 10-7, right? That was the final score. No, 13-7 overtime. This game was 10-7 yesterday.
Yes.
Wow. Thrilled for my fantasy life that Travion Henderson got 4 snaps. Really good. Stevenson had the fumbles. This is draft capital. Rookies get greater roles. Do I sound bitter?
Fresh legs.
Fresh
younger.
legs.
All right.
4 snaps.
None of that mattered.
Maybe in the Super Bowl. We're still breathing on that one. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here at 803-0550. We'll be right back. This is WGR. Breaking, the Bills are interviewing Nate Scheelhaas. There's another one where he's not the offensive coordinator of the Rams.
Passing game coordinator.
So you could make him your offensive coordinator.
That's right.
Like Webb.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could make him your head coach. That's what the interview is supposed to be for.
Right. Or Udinski, I guess, in theory, but they it seems they're only the door's open to him talking about head coach. Yeah.
All right. Caller brought up Mike LaFleur earlier, offensive coordinator for the Rams. Instead, the Bills apparently not done. This would be their first chance today. Yep. We'll interview the Rams quarterback coach, Nate Scheelhaas, another young guy.
And that coordinator, Mike LaFleur, is maybe the leading candidate in Arizona. So just throw everything into the mix here. Someone like Scheelhaas could be certainly considered for the coordinator job if the guy above him leaves for Arizona. So that might make it a little more challenging to lure him here as only a coordinator. But we'll see. I mean, it all really depends on who wants to work with whom. Like, what relationships are there, and do any of these guys intertwine to enough of an extent that one of them can walk in the door and go, hey, I got a package for you. Here's what do you want to know who I'm bringing with me? Here's who I'm bringing with me. And maybe that goes over. If any of them are, possibly can be connected. I feel like Webb and Daboll is an easy. We were talking with Sal already, almost an hour ago now. That's an easy one to follow the breadcrumbs. They were together both here and in New York, and so if Daboll were to get the job, maybe he would trust like Davis Webb as his offensive coordinator, and that's a way you can get him in here and just increase the brain power.
Scheelhaas, by the way, was the quarterback for 4 years at Illinois.
That's where I know him from. No. I don't follow a lot of Illinois football.
Well, you would have said that about Indiana equally as condescendingly until this year.
Although I did listen, I paid enough attention to when Michael Penix was there. Like my crushing on Michael Penix didn't begin at Washington. It started at Indiana.
Good. All right.
So there's that. But anyway.
He's on your tree.
Yes, that's right. Right.
Penix. All right, back shortly with more of your calls, we hope, 803-0550. Who are you rooting for in this? Plus, we have our Super Bowl matchup, like it or not. I mean, two teams that preseason had what kind of odds to make it this far?
Oh, my gosh. I thought Darnold was going to go to Seattle and get killed. And I thought the Patriots were coming. But like 10 wins would have been my optimistic guess.
Over-under was 8.5. I had England. I had all the New England futures over division, not division. I didn't have that one, but playoffs. I had that. Not this, though. I don't think I could have ever placed a New England Super Bowl bet in my life. I don't think I could ever have done that. So there still is a little bit in me,
Yeah, right.
But I did think this was possible this year, or, something close to it anyway. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Lines open for you. This is WGR.
living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. Oh, you seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life.
More interviews continue to come in as the Buffalo Bills look for their next head coach. We do have official confirmation from today that they have interviewed Denver pass game coordinator and QB coach Davis Webb, and they will reportedly be meeting with Rams pass game coordinator Nate Schilhaas. That'll be later tonight. Following this, though, one difficulty in the search is for the Bills. They cannot actually speak to any of the coaches on either Seattle or New England until after the Super Bowl, 2 weeks from now, after not doing any initial interviews prior with the candidates of those teams. However, it may not actually prove to be a problem. Adam Schefter earlier today had this to say on the coaching carousel with Pat McAfee.
I would think that we would have all these head coaching jobs filled this week, probably sooner rather than later. I wouldn't be surprised if by Wednesday there are no openings left at this point in time.
The other openings available are Cleveland, Arizona, and Las Vegas. Over to the Sabres, just practiced today. No Josh Norris this morning. Head coach Lindy Ruff is unsure if Norris will be available for the Sabres by the end of the week, and the team is mulling over the idea of holding him out until after the Olympic break. The Sabres, though, have won 3 in a row. They're in Toronto tomorrow night. We'll get more on the Sabres in just about an hour when Paul Hamilton joins the show at 6 p.m. Around the league, just 4 games tonight. There were supposed to be 5. Columbus and L.A., they got postponed until March 9th due to weather. The games, though, in hand tonight, 3 of them are at 7. The Rangers host Boston. The Islanders, they're in Philadelphia. And the Lightning, they host Utah. While at 8:30, the Ducks, they're in Edmonton to take on the Oilers. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
They have this Panther sound effect that is just the cheesiest, stupidest sounding thing. Big voice guy going, Panther goal scored by Sam Reinhart. Where'd you get that thing?
I trapped it. Been keeping it in my bathroom at the motel, feeding it old pizza.
It's Mike Schopp.
If you're calm, that wondrous big cat will be calm too. But if you're scared, that beautiful death machine will do what God made it to do. Namely, eat you with a smile on its face.
And the Bulldog. On WGR Sports Radio 550.
All right, did you get that, everybody? Boston at the Rangers. That's the Rangers we want. And then Islanders at the Flyers. That's a regulation win we want. Unless you think one team between those two is like clearly better between the Islanders and the Flyers. Have the Sabres ever won a game on Long Island 5-0? Like just easily?
Definitely not.
It wasn't super easy. It was mostly close.
Right,
but
it got crooked late, but still, yeah.
Still.
They were. Yeah, no, I can't remember. There probably is even one of these years where, we stopped paying attention. They went there in March and won a game that,
maybe.
But I don't know.
Or November.
Right. It was a pretty nice watch on Saturday afternoon.
Okay, I've got the standings right here. I'm looking right at it. Toronto tomorrow.
7th in points in the entire league, 6th in goal differential. And you said, what was it, 4th?
Tied for 4th in regulation wins.
Right. So there's a lot.
Yikes.
There's a lot to like there, folks. I mean, it's still pretty packed in there, but they've managed to work their way to 3rd place in the division.
5th in wins, 6th in wins, period. 6th. Boston has 30 from behind them. We'll look for your calls again here. Coaching search, 803-0550. Even room for whatever yesterday meant, the 2 games. Can I ask a painful question?
Sure.
Are the Bills favored against Seattle?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but I bet it's less than a field goal.
Sure.
They'll have had to beat New England yesterday on the road.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's reminiscent of 13 seconds, although maybe not as memorable as like a real shame. Given these 2 teams yesterday,
yeah.
They looked like.
If you thought like Cincinnati was going to be some kind of a walkover, okay, I know why we felt that way. The Bills were humming. This is in 21 now in the playoffs after that season. Yeah, the path this year would have been even easier. I think, like on paper, looking at it.
Well, winning in New England versus beating those Bengals at home, it would have been probably another close game with the Patriots. That's what happened twice.
And would have been played in a snowstorm.
In New England.
Yeah, in New England. Yeah.
Anywhere.
They got stopped. Yeah, Tennessee got weather.
Grand Island even was not spared.
So, yeah. But Nance even said at one point, like, if this game were in New England, we'd be playing in a different snowstorm, but it would kind of maybe be the same outcome here.
Take my chances with these Bills in the snow.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely felt that yesterday. I mean, I felt it certainly the week, watching on Sunday last week after the Bills lost on Saturday. But the pain, I'll bet if there's a Bills fan out there that was really upset about the McDermott thing happening the way it did and everything, I'll bet sitting in front of your TV yesterday watching those 2 teams play, they're like, all right, I kind of get it. Like we if not now, when? I mean, you had the opportunity was just laying there for you, and you still couldn't get it done. And I say it's entirely on McDermott this time, but whatever. Like,
well,
something's got to give.
It's been a week of reflection. And I want to take a moment here before back to the list of names, to talk about this. Because to that point, you'll know before the season, I wanted to have an answer to a fan who asks the question, when then? Like, is it for life? Say it's for life. If there is a breaking point, what is it? And I chose one. Lose in the playoffs and give up 30 again. They did. They did exactly that. It happened, different teams, it's happened the same way, to a point every year. So there you go. There's my position. And it was still, for how that game played out, not cut and dried. I mean, 5 turnovers.
Right.
And but this is what I said. This is my version of the proverbial playoff wall, right? That would happen. And okay, that's what ended up happening. I don't want to say, because this seems like harsh and almost personal, it's not how I feel, that I would commend Pegula for however you'd want to spin that, like sort of having the nerve to make the move after so much winning. So I don't mean this against Sean, but I do kind of think that, and I just wonder if, not to take, in this case, credit away from Pegula, if it happens without the apparent strife within the organization. And I guess that's a judgment I've made because there have been so many examples here in the last week of how you wonder just if they were even communicating very well anymore, the coach and the GM. And I think probably, to put it this way, the owner had that crutch to use as an excuse to make a change, which, he may not have otherwise wanted to make. I don't know. I think, it's how he said. He did it not because of any sort of discord, but that it was time. And I guess you have to accept that on some level. But he did a thing that I had kind of long assumed he wasn't really up for.
Yep.
And, it happened. So it doesn't feel right to call it like credit or to compliment him for it. I don't feel like I want to put it that way.
But it is, I know what you're, I feel very similarly. I think it's always easy. It's part of the reason why, when he divulges in the news conference and it ends up being portrayed as he made this knee-jerk decision, looking around the locker room because everyone was so upset. It is baking in the 9 years in totality, and the other playoff disappointments are baked into his feelings in that moment. And I think, while you can certainly make a mistake, you can make a mistake doing it however you do it. Like, there's you let a good guy go. Do you get better? What if you don't? What if you hire the wrong guy? What if it goes sideways? Like, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of potholes out there. And whatever you think of the process of making a decision, standing there in that locker room, which is how he portrayed it. Like, I never wavered. Like, I felt like I knew right then when Josh Allen wouldn't look up and acknowledge that I was trying to console him. The people, I think, can criticize him for making an emotional decision. And, all I would say back to that is if you don't respect the emotion of that moment, it's awfully easy to fall. It's how change never happens, because you sit back and go, see, I'm sitting back, I'm even leaning back from the microphone.
You're showing
to make
us.
the point.
You're showing us.
Well, because that's what you do when you take stock. You let me survey my kingdom. 5 AFC East titles in a row. Yeah, we didn't win it this year, but 12 wins again. What he thinks, and maybe a lot of other people think, was a bad call, and then the other officiating stuff, right? We got to keep going. Right? We got to keep going because it's too good. It's too good to blow up. And I think sitting with it increases the likelihood of that happening.
Yeah, maybe.
And if you want to call it rash, go ahead. I don't think it particularly was. I think there's been a parting of the ways that was the groundwork was being laid for, and then he made the decision, when they lost that game.
It's also because you really can't afford to wait.
Right.
For the coaching, for the search's benefit.
Right. So
not just feelings.
I don't know. I don't mind, that he may have reacted emotionally there, because I think I already said it. Like, sitting back and being more measured, it can become pretty easy to go, this is really good, and we got to find a way to keep going. Because we got a new stadium going up, and that we're actually moving into next year, and let's just keep the train rolling.
It's all of that, or some combination of all of that, or it's, Terry, I just think we got to break this up. Bean, 2026, and then what does the owner do? Nothing. He can't do nothing.
Yeah.
If there's a real disagreement over how their process is working, then he can't do nothing. And I don't know that he would have not preferred to do nothing and all of that, even if it was on the flight home, it would have been easy to let it be. But I wonder if he felt like that was not an option. 803-0550. We'll have to wait for the book in a few years.
I better get to work then.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to write that book. Mike is with us. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Hi, Bulldog. I have a question for you.
Okay.
So I'm wondering, I wish Vegas could provide some odds on this or some numbers on this. I know it can't, but what's your confidence level in Bean and his ability to acquire the talent that McDermott didn't necessarily have this year, or that he'll get the coach that our players didn't have? And are both things possible in one season?
I think it can be. It's not zero. My number. I'm not somebody who just thinks that these guys are either like really good or really bad at drafting. I think there's a lot of luck in that. I think the biggest concern I would have about Bean, thank you, Mike, is whether he's going to lean into defense again in the draft after all these years of just not getting very far doing that. It might have been their worst defense of the last few years, and they spent their whole draft on it. So I don't think it's so much like identifying good players from not. I wouldn't really hang that on Bean, even relative to the rest of the league. Like, I just really wouldn't say that. But how does he want to go about getting better?
Yeah, shifting the focus might be the biggest thing, and that's not hard to do. I mean, you just have to decide, I'm prioritizing this over that. The difficulty lies in, and we haven't really spent – this is not time for it yet, but I think there's a lot to do. There often is, but the middle of your offensive line, really all the three middle positions, the two guards in the center, two of them are free agents, unrestricted, McGovern and Edwards, your left guard. Osiris Torrance is finished up year 3 going into the final year of his rookie contract, second-round pick, so no fifth-year option. That it might be the strongest unit on the team outside of quarterback, right? I think running back is obviously great with the rushing leader, but the line is tied into that. So like that right there is that's a big lift. That's a lot of money. I can't even imagine that they extend all three of those guys. Nope. In this offseason.
Nope.
So somebody, Now
it's a draft priority that wasn't.
Right. Alec Anderson, Cedric Van Granger. So someone in-house is going to probably take one of those spots. And, maybe you prioritize choosing one of the other two guards. But that's just there. And then receiver is what? What am I going to do there? I know. You can prioritize it all you want. But who am I going to go get?
Yeah, I think you need this coaching hire to do that for you and to make Allen's life easier with the receivers they have. Because there's not a lot there. I mean, there are these veterans, the type the Bills have been bringing in over and over for the last 2 years. You can always do that, but that's not high percentage play. You could spend a draft pick on it, pick 26 on the best receiver on your board. You could do that, but free agency is not there for you, and you really don't have that much money anyway. So I think it'll have to be from one of these coaching witches that can get.
Yeah.
Is Kincaid somebody that I don't want to stay on this now, but like another knee problem, plagued by physical difficulties all season? Does that ever just sort of clear up? It's tough to count on him, and they probably would like to. Lot to figure out. Thanks again, Mike. Good question. You can bet on it when the win totals come out. I mean, any one person's confidence level isn't really that relevant, but the market will tell you something. And I think the Bills will again get a ton of respect, whatever they do this offseason, because of Allen. Let's go to Tony next. Hi, Tony.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up?
Question for you is related to Daboll's candidacy, and my apologies if you guys have touched on this over the last couple of days or whatever, but I haven't heard much about it. And I'm just wondering if the Bills at all, in the back of their minds, look at that and think about, the response of the fans to the McDermott firing and how he, I think, still remains a sympathetic figure, although some people are starting to get it a little bit more. And Daboll represents someone that he was said to be at odds with, and probably the type of hire that McDermott, the man, would get a little bit more irked at than maybe some others, if that's possible. Do we think the Bills care about that? Do we think they should? Do any of us? I don't know that I do, but I think it's I think it's worth kicking around.
Yeah, I definitely don't care. Daboll's not my favorite idea at all here, but that's not a reason why. And I don't think they should care, and I would be surprised if they do.
Who's the most popular hire on the table then? Grant Udinski is today's name. Like, more and more people seem to be focused on him. There's a betting market that reflects that also. So what does that sound like compared with Daboll? You might have a generational divide because one guy's 30 and another guy's 50. And there certainly would be a crowd if they hire a 30-year-old to be the head coach of the Bills. It would be like, guys,
with no experience
are you serious?
And no play calling experience, like all of it is
right.
It's a lot.
As critical as I can be over the years, we've been through this many times, although not recently. I always feel like there's a benefit of the doubt that's deserved when it starts. I remember the Dick Duran example. We were at a Super Bowl that year talking to a media guy from Chicago who started his interview with us apologizing to us because the Bills had hired Dick Duran, or were going to. And I didn't like that at all. I mean, he also had won a Coach of the Year in Chicago. I didn't like that at all. Like, why does it have to go badly? But, over time, you sort of got the sense that there wasn't, a lot going on there. So I'm going to be excited about what there is to be excited about with either one of these choices, but I could see maybe older fans being completely miffed at a 30-year-old head coach who never, like you said, didn't have that much experience or doesn't. And I don't know, Daboll for me, he's not too old. It really should never exactly be that, but I'm more energized by the younger names. And I thought Daboll was kind of an embarrassment with the Giants. So I don't know. I don't feel like maybe he deserves another head coaching job at this point. He's been around a long time. I think he knows a lot. And I believe that he's probably excited about being here again.
He's definitely been around a lot of winning. Like somebody called us last week, and I don't think I have it open here, but he's a part of a lot of staffs that won in New England. Might be five Super Bowls. Again, he's not the kingpin guy there ever, right? But still, I mean, he's around that and the national title with Alabama. He's got championship experience as a assistant coach anyway.
And, his Bills won a lot of games too.
Yep.
The Giants won a playoff game with Daniel Jones, and he won Coach of the Year. He's got a resume, Daboll. Here is Dane is with us next. Hello.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to make a point on the potential hiring of Joe Brady and why I think it is not a good idea. Firstly, I think Brady's done a fine enough job. We've had a great run game. We've scored lots of points, especially in the regular season. But I don't know if he has that elite level offensive guru upside that a guy like Kubiak and, maybe even a guy like Udinski does. We haven't seen him call plays, and, there is a chance that was just a lack of offensive weapons, certainly. And then, on top of that, I think it's just kind of a little awkward to promote the guy after this year. I think a lot of our losses came down ultimately to the offense not being able to move the ball.
Yep.
Again, the talent question is there, but I think the defense, put us in the position to win a lot of those games this year. And to keep the OC after firing McDermott, I think it's just a little awkward maybe for the players as well as the fans coming off a season where it's not like Brady did such a great job and McDermott's defense did such a terrible job.
Dane, if I can jump in, I'm agreeing with a lot of what you're saying. You could compare that with if they had fired McDermott after 13 seconds and promoted Daboll, because you had 4 years where he was getting Daboll so much credit for what Allen had become, and then that game so incredibly they lose like that. I mean, there were people who I listened to it at the time. Like, are you really worse off if you keep your offensive coordinator and this and go forward? That, of course, did not happen. But it might be interesting to compare what you're laying out right now to that.
Yeah, I definitely thought of the parallel, and I think coming off of that season, I would have been for it. The offense looked so good throughout the whole year, and especially that game. And, the head coach decision-making in that final game is what ultimately did us in. And then, this year, just this one year, that was certainly not the case. So I don't think that would be appropriate to just promote the OC in this case. I think back then you could have made a case for it.
Thank you, Dane. Appropriate, awkward. We just said about Dable. I don't know if he deserves another head coaching job. And I think I might say about Brady that too, although that would be his first.
Yeah, head coaching job.
A head coaching job. Adam Schefter, while Dane was talking, reports that the Raiders have interviewed Brady for a second time, that's done today. So 2 interviews anyway. And there's Clint Kubiak seemingly in the window for Vegas.
Right.
Are they the one team, or did the other teams interview him too? Arizona?
I don't know if Arizona talked to him nor Cleveland. I don't know, but I know I found out that there's this little loophole, because we were saying last week, and it is still true, the Bills can't. But if you talk to them before, while they were on bye, which the Raiders did with this candidate, Kubiak from Seattle, then they can talk to him this week.
Does this rule make sense? You have 2 weeks for the Super Bowl. They couldn't do that today. They couldn't they're not allowed to have a 2-hour conversation on a Zoom with Clint Kubiak today if both parties wanted that. There's no time. It's 24 hours in a day, Bulldog. Even when it's dark like this so early, it's still, you probably could find the time.
You definitely could find the time. I think if I'm in the Super Bowl, I think I don't want new teams coming in off the top rope wanting to talk to my guy, because
you don't like what it would look like.
Yeah, I don't want the appearance of him being distracted by something else.
Okay.
So
you needed him cramming 12 hours of Patriots tape today.
Yeah, I think the teams wanted it like this. I think with reason, and I'm inclined to respect it.
Kubiak is on the Cardinals Bet Online list, so maybe that means they did interview him already, or they could just be like the Bills and have to wait. I don't know. Good phone calls. 803-0550 to be next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
They are reportedly going to have two. We do already officially know one. That is with Denver pass game coordinator and QB coach Davis Webb. The other is they're reportedly meeting with Rams pass game coordinator Nate Schilhaas later tonight. Following this, though, one difficulty in this search for the Bills is going to be that they cannot speak with any of the coaches on either Seattle or New England until after the Super Bowl, around 2 weeks from now, after not doing any initial interviews prior with candidates from those teams. Though that may not actually prove to be a problem. Adam Schefter had this to say earlier today with Pat McAfee.
I would think that we would have all these head coaching jobs filled this week, probably sooner rather than later. I wouldn't be surprised if by Wednesday there are no openings left at this point in time.
There are 3 other openings in the NFL. It's Cleveland, Arizona, and Las Vegas. Currently, right now, the Browns are speaking with Schilhaas, who the Bills are expected to speak with later tonight. They did have Jaguars OC Grant Udinski pull out of the running earlier today, and then the Raiders. They just completed their second interview with Bills offensive coordinator Joe Brady. Then over to the Sabres. Just practiced today. No Josh Norris this morning, though. Head coach Lindy Ruff is unsure if Norris will be available for the Sabres by the end of the week, and the team is mulling over the idea of holding him out until after the Olympic break. The rest of the team, though, Sabres have won 3 in a row. They're in Toronto tomorrow night. We'll get more on the Sabres in just about a half hour when Paul Hamilton joins the show at 6 o'clock. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Remains unclear what Sean McDermott will firmly decide to do, but to my knowledge has not engaged on any of these openings. And based on the conversations he's had and the people he's talked with who have taken a year off after a long head coaching stint, all have said it was beneficial and worth it. We'll see if that is the way Sean McDermott goes, but I believe it is likely that he ends up taking a year off.
Ian Rappaport, well, I'd certainly respect it. McDermott is not in the conversation, as was just said, for any head coaching opening. Not that that has to be, rock solid. If he were to coach, it might have to be as an assistant. And, yeah, go touch some grass. I'm not saying that like as really personal advice. He wouldn't care for my advice. But
right.
I'd certainly get it. Such high pressure. And he's been, if this is relevant, before you get the head coaching job like he did here, all your energy is spent on climbing the ladder. And you're trying to, maybe almost every year, I'm a special teams coach or a, linebackers coach. Can I get a coordinator? Can I get, where do I have to go for this? And there's really no rest. You're just, as an assistant, I think you're just always looking up and trying to figure out how to move up. Whereas in this situation, he can step away, and in a year, he's probably just as relevant as he would be now.
I would think so. Yeah, I don't think he just disappears and never to be heard from. I think teams would seek him out next year. And, and if he isn't of the mind to get back on the treadmill, then, but I would guess that he does. There's always, stuff we don't know. Like, does he right now, right? I know I read in the Dan Pompei piece, he's got a daughter that's going away to school eventually. I think she's still in school here locally, but is going to play softball somewhere in college. And his son is still in high school. Maybe pulling up and moving to Cleveland right now would be tough with where they are on their, on their paths.
Sure.
And, not that, whatever, I'm not here to judge parents. McDermott strikes me as someone who would certainly take that into account. I think any parent would. But it could be the thing that even carries the, helps make the final decision. I'm not going to do anything this year.
Yeah, it's the rare chance for anybody in that profession to take a break.
Yeah,
because the assistants can never take a break, and here he's got that luxury, so to speak. All right, good. Let's go to Terry next. Hi, Terry.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
I'm in favor of Kubiak. I think he's the best qualified for what we're looking for. But my question is this: if he had to pick between Las Vegas, where he can draft Mendoza, or pick Buffalo and the situation that he would walk into there, what do you think he's going to pick? What do you think he would pick? What's his best option?
Good question. Personal choice, like who would win in a poll? Maybe the Bills would win in a poll. But there's also lifestyle. I mean, tough question to answer on behalf of someone else. I think if I were one of these coaches, I'd have a tough time saying no to the 101 if it's a player that
you get that credit, sort of like Daboll did with Josh Allen. Josh Allen is already Josh Allen. Like if you come and you help get him to another level, that's something you're going to get credit for that. But largely, the player is already the league MVP. That's only going to get you so much. How much do you crave that? I mean, I don't know, but the opportunity to work with a brand new ball of clay, that it's built like. I mean, he's not as sturdy as Allen Mendoza, right? He's like 6'5", 220. Allen's more like 6'5", 240, 250. So he's bigger, stronger, thicker dude, but whatever. Like, that's hard to turn down, I think. The situations maybe, I mean, even though Vegas couldn't be more different lifestyle-wise than Buffalo.
Pretty much.
I think ownership-wise, you might have the same questions.
Yep.
Right? I mean, Davis has a certain reputation, and Terry Pagula has a certain reputation. I don't think one of those doesn't have to be like the deciding factor.
Do the Raiders have a GM? Have they ever had a GM, the Raiders? Because they've operated like they don't.
Yeah. I think
Mike Mayock was their GM.
Which is Gruden, yeah. But
come on.
There's somebody in that job. I can't. The name is
Spytech.
What is it?
Spytech.
His last name is Spytech.
Spytech.
I have that on my phone.
Are you sure that's not just some software?
I have that to block out spies.
Their GM is like
John Spytech.
This is a spyware.
Telesco was there. Wasn't he?
That's the name I wanted
he was
to
let
say,
go.
but I wasn't sure. Yeah.
Tom Brady is there sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe you'd like that. I'd like the to start off on a new path with somebody new. But what are the odds that, like, who would you rather be in 4 years? Allen or Mendoza? Like, who's coach? Which situation is better? The odds would probably have to favor Allen, because that's proven, and there are busts, and he'd still be only 34. But look at May.
Right.
Were you not jealous of him yesterday? And he makes the play to win it, and he called the play himself.
He didn't tell anyone.
He didn't tell anyone. He was bootlegging there.
Yeah.
So how nice is that? I mean, Vrabel goes there. It's New England. He's a coach. I need work. He had a year off himself, didn't he? But now I've got a chance to line up with this guy, and he's 22. Okay.
It worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
I was not emotionally prepared to have to deal with them at this level again already.
I know.
Just not.
It's the worst thing.
Just not. I thought I would have told you, almost, I don't want to say regardless of how this year went, but if this year was good, but not this. But I thought, like, next year, they're definitely coming.
This is your area. I've come to just intensely dislike Vrabel.
Oh, he's
the first play.
Easy to dislike.
Isn't it like the first play of the game? He's out almost maybe on the field in an official's ear. And, he's a foot taller than some of these guys. Just get away from me. I'll do my job. Thank you. Back off. Officials can't do that, right? Tell off coaches. Is there a line that gets crossed where you can do it? I never think I see it.
I don't know.
I would love to see it sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, shut up. I'm doing this. I was right, by the way.
Yeah.
Of course you're going to disagree with me, but that doesn't make you right. You can't be trusted. I'm the one who's impartial, not you. And I would lose it. I would lose it on some of these guys.
Was it the end of the half he got the timeout where they put a second back on the clock?
Yeah.
I mean, really?
That's one also where he's like out on the field.
He's out on the field calling timeout, and the play is still going. I think the play isn't even over yet.
I think he might be a smart guy. Like, I'm not stereotyping.
I think he's an excellent coach. I can't stand him.
Just the big bully coach.
Yeah.
Get back. You do you. I'll do my job.
Yeah.
The Patriot mantra. Do your job. That's what I'm doing out here, buddy.
Yeah.
And you're over here yelling at me constantly. I'd hate it.
Yeah. He's in the Super Bowl.
Yes. Here's Brian next. Hi, Brian.
So annoying.
Hi, Brian from Toronto here.
Brian
the
from
whole discussion regarding the musical chairs and OCs and DCs and head coaches could be solved very simply if the NFL would simply move the schedule back so that this whole process doesn't start till 1 week after the Super Bowl. If that means they push back training camp, the draft by a week, who cares? I think it gives everyone a fair chance. Certainly the players would like it. Coaches would definitely like it. And we, the fans, would like it. I mean, you look at the situation Buffalo's in and put in a very difficult situation. I'm sure a lot of the OCs or DCs for job security and for their family are going to take the first reasonable job. If they had any idea that the Buffalo position would open up and they'd get to work with Josh and a terrific group of people and fan base in Buffalo, they definitely wouldn't have jumped at it. So I think very simple, move it back. And if it means putting the schedule back to 16 games instead of 17 to avoid giving a team.
Forget that. That's never happening. You're going to get an 18th game way before you ever get consideration to take games away.
It's not just that. It's not meant to be fair. It's not just that they're not going to make these other sacrifices. This coaching business rates very low compared to some of that other stuff. You ever heard of the expression, the legal tampering period? All right, so new rule, everybody. You can't hire a coach until 6 weeks after your season ends, right? That's what it'd be. 5 weeks after your season.
Right. So,
New rule, everybody. You can't hire a coach till 5 weeks after your season ends. Guess what you get? Everything's under the table.
Mm-hmm.
Coaches are getting fired immediately anyway. They're not going to just left to hang. They're going to be told what is happening. And then they're going to be replaced. It just won't be official until the day after the Super Bowl. Then everything will be made official. It'll be the same. I don't think I agree with this rule where if you didn't talk to a team in the Super Bowl's guy already, you can't do it now. I think that should be up to the parties involved. And maybe Clint Kubiak says no to the Bills because it's a bad look. And maybe that's fair. I mean, that might be what I would do. But, nice intentions there, but I don't think you could possibly make it wait. Teams are not going to wait. These are people trying to get into their jobs and sell homes and move and get going.
You're always going to have, right, the way the caller said it there, like coaches would rather. Maybe in certain circumstances, like we can guess about Kevin Stefanski, whether he would have taken the Atlanta job if the Buffalo job had been open, right? Maybe there's regret there. Yeah, I don't know. But I think largely guys want to get busy living, figuring out where they're going to go. And the people that work under them, the assistant coaches, all are waiting on that. And so to delay the whole thing till after the Super Bowl, I just don't think it's realistic. And I don't think – I think more often you'd have – I think it's rare to have a situation where you can look at a guy that took a job and like, oh, wait, but this other job. Like, it's happened. Maybe it just happened, like I said, with Atlanta and Buffalo. But I don't think that's that frequent. And so, I don't know. It's imperfect, but I don't need more rules around it right now.
DraftKings has next year's Super Bowl odds up. Who's the AFC favorite?
Kansas City.
Bills. AFC in order. Bills, Patriots, Ravens, Chargers, Chiefs, Texans, Broncos.
Well, this is stupid. Don't they know the Bills don't even have a coach?
Seattle plus 950, Rams plus 950, Bills plus 1,000. Almost equal. Let's go. It's going to be the same. Well, a caller earlier wanted to know, like, if you want to be able to bet on confidence level. There is some reflection on the overall confidence level in the market. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Thanks for being with us. Paul Hamilton at 6. This is WGR. Story time here in the studio today. Sorry to not be able to include everybody on that. Matthew Stafford. So I was listening to the morning show, and they do that thing where everybody picks a prop and they bet on it together. If they actually bet on it, do they?
Yeah,
probably sometimes.
They usually do. Yeah.
And Jeremy's was, and I enjoy the segment, and nobody gets them all right. I was listening, and the first three guys all picked overs. And I'm texting Joe. I'm like, you guys and your overs, come on. Over is a sucker bet. And I don't think Jeremy knew about my text, but when it came to be his turn, you know what he picked?
No, I don't.
Matthew Stafford under half a rushing yard. He doesn't run.
Right.
Kneel downs, essentially.
Except for that one first down.
Right.
He had like 1 9-yard carry, maybe, or 8, whatever that was.
And don't forget, if that's not the play you mean, the last play of the first half.
It's definitely not the play I mean. It was in the, like, the game was on the line, and he converted a third down with his legs, which is rare for him. I don't remember the play at the end of the half.
Think Nathan Peterman.
Oh, okay.
It's the last play of the first half. The ball is at the Ram 41. It's Hail Mary time. 8 seconds. He runs for 13 yards.
Oh, that's...
Where is he going?
Yeah, nowhere. Right.
He doesn't want to throw the pick. Who was I listening to that was talking about... Oh, I got to remember. It wasn't on our show. Recently, I was listening to a conversation and how a coach... it was the morning show. It was the morning show because Joe mentioned a certain thing. If you throw the pick on a Hail Mary, it's still a pick against your record.
Right.
And then Jeremy pointed out what do we say about the Denver game? 5 turnovers. But, the Cooks play didn't have to be a pick,
Right.
Some of it's like that. So I don't want the interception. Sam Darnold led the league in turnovers. Maybe he threw a couple picks on Hail Marys. Right. He led the league in turnovers. They still count.
Mm-hmm.
But where is Matthew Stafford going? He's going to try a 59-yard touchdown run? I mean, that's not possible.
Probably not, no.
But I texted Joe immediately from their bet. Like, well, there goes that one. In a friendly way. 2 for 16 is what Stafford ends up in the game. Easily clears the number.
Yeah.
Darnold 3 for 9 if it matters on the ground. How good is Kenneth Walker? How good did he look last night? Wow.
He looks great every time I see him.
Kind of does. What a great runner.
Yep.
Walker. He's like he hides behind the line a little bit and then he goes.
He's got he's powerful, he's fast, he's shifty. Like he just he'll through you, around you, over you, whatever. I like him a lot.
And 2 amazing wide receivers, possibly the 2 best in the league. Certainly 2 of the 5 best in the league. Smith and Jigba and Nakua. Nakua is unbelievable. Does he ever not catch it? It's always contested.
Even this play at the end of the last play of the game.
Exactly. How great was that? And he almost made it to the sideline.
Almost, right.
How great a player is he? Man, he's so tough. And he's aggressive. He's like abrasive almost. Mm-hmm. He gets right. He shows you up. He will show you up,
yep.
Nakua. Big and just he never misses, that guy. Wow, I mean, just what a game that was. Good thing because the first game was miserable. Except for the snow. It was kind of cool to see snow, although all I had to do was look outside.
Yeah, I didn't have any shortage of looking at snow.
I couldn't avoid it.
Most of us.
We don't get the golf anymore.
Right.
So
that is going to be a problem, Fubo. You better
fix it.
Do something there because, I've started watching every tournament, every weekend. And Saturday was when I realized, like, oh, no. The Sabres game ends. It's nap time, right? I had a couple of beers while I'm watching the Sabres game, like perfect. And turn the golf on. Nap time. No golf. Oh, no. Fubo. It's not even on. It's not like simulcast on Peacock. It's just not. No. Just no golf. Come on.
Fix your site.
Get it together, Fubo.
Fix your site.
Oh, God, I hate them so much. Not just because of this NBC. We don't have time. It's the worst.
Get Paul in on it.
It is the dumbest, like, your phone, every app you use knows you and is tracking you and like knows what you want, and therefore it's always in your face, and that's kind of creepy and not always great. The one place you'd like, I think, for me anyway, to be recognized and your tendencies to be respected and offered is when I turn on my TV. And I always have to look for the stuff I watch all the time on that app.
Get through a whole row of news channels.
That app it's the dumbest app of all the apps. And now this NBC thing is just adding to it.
Paul Hamilton next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
More interviews for the Bills as they look for their next head coach. Today, we expect to have two. One was made official, interviewing Denver pass game coordinator and QB coach Davis Webb. And then they are also reportedly meeting with pass game coordinator Nate Schilhaus later tonight once he finishes up his interview with Cleveland. Following this, though, one difficulty in the search for the Bills is that they cannot speak to any of the coaches on either Seattle or New England until after the Super Bowl, which is 2 weeks from now, after not doing any initial interviews prior with the candidates from those teams. However, it may not actually turn out to be a problem. Adam Schefter had this to say earlier today with Pat McAfee.
I would think that we would have all these head coaching jobs filled this week, probably sooner rather than later. I wouldn't be surprised if by Wednesday there are no openings left at this point in time.
The other openings available in the NFL are Cleveland, Arizona, and Las Vegas. The Browns, as previously mentioned, are speaking with Schilhaus today. That interview, by the way, began earlier this morning and as of an hour ago, reportedly is still going on. And then the Raiders, they did complete their second interview with Bills offensive coordinator Joe Brady. Now to the Sabres. Just practiced today. No Josh Norris on the ice this morning. Head coach Lindy Ruff unsure if Norris will be available for the Sabres by the end of the week, and the team is mulling over the idea of having him sit out until after the Olympic break. The Sabres, though, they have won 3 in a row, and they're in Toronto tomorrow night. We'll get more on the Sabres coming up next when Paul Hamilton joins the show at 6. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Welcome back. The Sabres off tonight, at the Leafs tomorrow. A team they lead in the standings by 6 with a game in hand, by the way.
Ho-hum.
Ho-hum. Isn't life grand? Paul Hamilton along on the West Her hotline. Is it getting old yet, Paul, all these wins?
No. I remember back, in the Super Bowl years, and it did get old. It was like the Bills won so much that the calls were, yeah, but you know what? They could have done so much better on that 4th down. And people are sitting there, you know what? It wasn't good enough. 17-10 win just wasn't good enough. And it was like, well, now we're going to criticize how they won.
Hey, that's the last 3 years, at least 2, not just then. It's definitely like that now. So, yep. Well, the game on Long Island, I mean, what a beauty. 5-0, always sort of a grimy game with the Islanders, it feels like. But defense held up. Goalie was great. Goalie can't lose either.
Yeah. Well, both are doing well. I mean, you look at, Lyon. And the thing about Lyon that I think is so impressive is he's won 9 in a row, but the last 2 have been after he was out 10 games for injury.
Yeah.
So he basically picked up right where he left off, which is not easy to do. And talking to some of the guys today, especially Rasmus Dahlin, he goes, it's the way he works. He goes, I am so impressed with how dialed in he gets. And he said, that's why he's able to do that. And Lindy Ruff kind of echoed that also. But you got really 2 goaltenders that are hot. I mean, he's 9-0. And Luukkonen, who probably will play tomorrow, is 7-2-1, and both their save percentages are over .920.
Bulldog.
In that time.
Sorry, Paul, I was going to say to both you guys, do you know Marty Baron's story about the franchise winning streak record?
Yes. I know because I asked him because a fan asked me.
He told it on the pregame show Saturday. And so they show the graphic. Jerry Desjardins, 9, and then a bunch of goalies, including Miller's on there maybe twice, including Lyon with 8. And Brian Duff brings it up to Marty. He's like, well, it's only not me based on a technicality. And I wasn't thinking about it because I'm just thinking like this is going to be something funny.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually correct. Paul, correct me where I go wrong here, but Nornan had a game. Remember, because Marty did have a long, you can remember it.
Yeah, it kind of launched them in 2005-06. Miller got hurt, and Marty had a play, and they won and won and won.
Yeah, and so there's a game Nornan got, and he got hurt in overtime or something, but stayed in for the shootout, and then couldn't finish the shootout. And so Marty got in, and they lost the shootout, and that's a loss that's on Baron.
Oh, I see.
He said he would have had 13.
Okay.
So Marty's streak was starts. Not games. It was starts because he actually relieved twice, he said, which either one would have taken him out of that.
Okay.
He didn't get the decision in the other one he relieved in, but it still would have taken him out of that.
And this record is decisions. You're saying this 9. Okay, interesting. Good.
Right. 9 in a row, but he would have. It was with games started. Yes, it would have, but that's why it's not recognized by the NHL as a record.
Cool.
Well, I remember, and I texted you, Paul, I think during the game or right after the game on Saturday afternoon, how our conversation Friday afternoon, I think I rushed the UPL is emerging as their number one guy because you said and you pushed back right away then on Friday afternoon, like, well, Lyon has won 8 in a row, and he was great on Saturday. I mean, I know 5-0 ends up pretty crooked, but that's a tight game for most of it, and boy, I just thought he made some like A+ saves in that game.
Yeah, he did, and they've been alternating for the most part. Luukkonen got in back-to-back once. And
Minnesota, Carolina, right? Last Monday was,
right.
And that's when I noticed that and thought, like, he's going to start getting, 2 of every 3 kind of thing. But Lyon deserves the trading off starts alternating deserves to continue. I think there's I rushed
and the alternating started before Lyon got out of that because Luukkonen was alternating with Ellis for a bit. It was 10 games that they basically have been doing it, except for that one little space there. Mm-hmm. And I think Lindy Ruff likes it. I think he likes what he's seeing from his 2 goaltenders. It's keeping them both going, and I think he likes that. And as I said, if you got 2 goaltenders right now, one is 9-0, and one's 7-2-1, and they're both over .920.
Yeah.
And their save percentage, that's insane.
You don't have a problem. No.
Yeah. And Buffalo is 18-3-1 in their last 22 games, and you look at that, they lead the NHL in goals against. Now, what did Lindy Ruff talk about all summer long, and so did Kevin Adams, that they absolutely have to bring down their goals against? Well, they did it to the point where they lead the league in goals against, and look what they've done, 18-3-1. The interesting part is Detroit's next and Tampa Bay's after that. Those are the top 3 teams in the Atlantic Division, and they're 1-2-3 in goals against in the last 21 or 2 games.
Paul, do you think because now they've got 3 guys healthy, maybe they get to the Olympic break with Ellis still around, but eventually injuries, guys are going to get healthy, right? Danforth is going to be back. Norris will be back at some point. We'll take our guesses at that here in a moment, I guess. But I know I saw something about Danforth maybe after the Olympics. Remember him? Like a third, fourth line winger,
Kulik.
Penalty killer, right?
Kulik,
right? Yeah. Thank you. So eventually they're going to need that spot. And I think Ellis at this point has to be the odd man out. There can't be any question about that, right?
If that's the way they want to do it, but if they really believe in Ellis, I can see them just saying, you know what, let's just suck it up and do it for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that happening because you're into February now, and you're still there, and you haven't done anything about it. It just depends because Kekalainen really hasn't said too much about how he feels about Ellis, so I don't know where he is. It was Kevin Adams who had his eye on Ellis and thought we have to take this opportunity. We can't pass it up. I've heard that it really annoyed Devin Levi. I kind of assumed that anyway. So it wouldn't surprise me if he hasn't already, if he'll be asking to be traded. But you've come this far with it. I actually could see them doing it for the rest of the year.
I recall Kekalainen either at his introductory news conference or maybe when he joined Jeremy and Joe the next morning or whatever that was. He just sounded pretty much like Adams about it. Like, he's a guy we had our eye on for a while. We liked him. There's a reason we claimed him, basically. This was how he talked about Ellis. So, I guess we'll see about that. But there
have been times I've really liked him, and there have been times where I thought, I've been up and down with him.
Yeah, He scares me a lot, but he's gotten more good results than bad. But he makes me nervous. He's just sort of all over the place too much.
Here's another example of the Sabres reclaiming relevance in my home. Is that my wife, who sees a lot of hockey with our daughter, is like you about Ellis.
Just yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Did he play Nashville? Did he play that game in Nashville or no? Tuesday?
No.
Okay. When did we see him last?
Since Lyon's been back, we have not seen him. He played in the Garden against the Rangers and won.
Yep. Okay, maybe it was there.
I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm
My
actually
fault.
sitting in a conference room at Channel 2, so I don't have the numbers.
No, it's
in
my
front
fault.
of me.
Whatever game it was. Whatever game
I
it
want
was.
to think I want to think it might have been the Ranger game, but
Okay.
I'm not positive.
Did he not play in Montreal? No, he didn't. Sorry.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Whatever game it was, she was kind of freaking out.
He scares me. Yeah. So whatever. They've got the two guys to me, and any idea like there was when Ellis first got here, it was like, well, maybe Lyon is someone I can trade. Right? He's a veteran goalie. Teams need veteran goalies, and I've got these other two guys, and I think I might riot if they did that now. They've got a strength on their team right now with these two guys that are going, and I don't think I'm not as high on Ellis as maybe anyone else. I just moving Lyon to make room for Ellis would be bananas.
This is a little bit 2005-06 adjacent.
Yeah,
too.
right. Noren and Baron and Miller. Yeah. For a while,
the thing is, guys, and it's our jobs to do this. We sit here and do mental gymnastics on what are they going to do when so and so gets back and the roster and everything, and then so and so comes back and you got two other injuries.
Somebody else gets hurt.
You've got
right?
the spot. It seems like that's happened all year, except for the one time they sent Ostlund down for 2 days, and the reason they didn't bring him right back is because they had to wait till he played one game in Rochester. He played the one game in Rochester and came right back. That's about the only time that it's really come into play. But as I said, it's our jobs to do these mental gymnastics, and then all of a sudden it comes up. It's like, yeah, but we got two other injuries, so we're fine.
I do so much mental gymnastics. I cannot believe I'm not in better shape. Remember Devin Levi? Wow. I mean, that's another name. But we went from a lot was pinned on his shoulders, and he needed to hit, big trade and everything, to like, okay, well, I got other people. Nothing against him.
Well, there are other goaltenders that I get to see that are scouts and stuff that are around. And the one thing I tend to get from people that watch him is he should not still be swimming around his net like he still is. That's the criticism I get about him when I'm talking to people. Obviously, with the Sabre schedule the way it is, I get to see really not hardly any Amherst games. Until the playoffs start, but that's usually what I hear from scouts.
Paul Hamilton with us for a few more minutes. How about Benson right now? Just the goal off the two posts. Lindy was lauding that effort in the previous game, Montreal.
The assist to Thompson was fantastic play.
He's becoming a pretty good and pretty big story.
He had the goaltender so fooled on that. First, the goaltender thought he was going to shoot, and then he didn't, and the goaltender thought he was coming out the other side. By the time Thompson got the puck, the goaltender was looking the complete opposite way.
Over his left shoulder at Thompson.
Over his left shoulder.
Right, Benson,
Thompson was over his right shoulder. It was such a nifty play by Benson.
Yeah, they've really got, and the other kids too, like they're, Paul, the similarities to 05-06 with this kid line, like if that kid line is sticky, and so far so good, they look like they're in really great shape here, even again without Norris, and there's more on that today, right? Like, still, maybe there's the thought to shut him down until after the Olympic break at this point.
Yeah, Lindy. I think Lindy's to a point where maybe we're bringing him back too quickly. We have a chance here where might do him better if we let it ride through the Olympics type of a thing. Because he said we asked if he'll play in one of the home games Thursday or Saturday. And he's like, I don't know. He goes, he'd have to get in practice pretty quick here to be able to do that. And he goes, we might just do the right thing and let him give him the extra time. He did that with Kesselring too. Kesselring was ready to play for maybe 3 games before they put him in. And he just thought, well, you know what, let's give him the extra time. I think he liked the way the 6 defensemen were playing. There was no rush to get him in. And I think he just felt, let's just do that. Might do him some good. And I think he's thinking the same thing with Norris, that maybe it would be better if we just let this ride, and we'll see after the Olympics.
Yep. This is this guy's career. You know, I said it on the day of that trade. I love this player. He's a fantastic player, high-end talent. To me, if both guys are healthy, he's the better player than Cousins, and it's not even close. But why does Ottawa make the trade? Because they can't trust him to be in the lineup. Like, Cousins at least is going to play the games. You know, so I'm putting my team together. I'm trying to make the playoffs. Ottawa ended up making it last year. At least I know I can count on this guy to be my second center or whatever they're asking of him. And Norris is just there's such a variance there that it's tough. I mean, I want him back in the lineup as soon as possible, but man, every time he just gets in a collision, it's hold your breath.
Well, 2 of these injuries fall into the category of what are you doing? First of all, why are you hitting this guy that is 4 times bigger than you? And then this one. All right, this guy, you didn't like the way he hit you or whatever, so you wheeled around and slashed him on the ankles. Well, what's he going to do? He's going to cross-check you across the ribs. Uh-oh. Now you're hurt again. Just stop it. Just let it be. Play hockey. Right. That's what the Buffalo Sabres don't need you cross-checking people. They don't need you hitting people. They need you shooting the puck and picking up points and playing a 2-way game and winning face-offs. That's what the Buffalo Sabres need you to do. Just stop. He has been hurt twice doing that stuff now.
Paul, we'll let you go. Talk to you tomorrow.
All right, take care.
There's Paul Hamilton. His appearances on WGR brought to you by Equitable Advisors. Planning for your future is about more than just money. Let Equitable be your guide. And by Raylax Honda. Raylax, we got this.
Fun little thing. I might not be here tomorrow. That's not the fun little thing, although you might find that fun. So Ross Tucker will be on tomorrow's show, and you may know this from listening to Ross. He went to Wyomissing High School near Reading. He must live somewhat close to there now.
Hershey, somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah, Reading, PA, just outside. And Taylor Swift went to the same high school as Ross Tucker. So I'm just sort of getting along here with Grant Udinsky. And he went to high school at Central Bucks High School West in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, which is not too far away from Ross. Because for a second I thought maybe it was the same school, but it's not. And Pink went to his high school.
Udinsky's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell Ross Pink tomorrow if you want to. Like, all right, well, Taylor Swift is probably like number 1.
Yeah.
But Pink is up there.
Yep.
Also, Mike Pettin went to this high school. I think maybe there's a family connection there. But Pink, how great is that? James Michener. I think I like the Udinsky list better. Maybe I don't know if it's a bigger school. There's more to work with there. But it's Taylor Swift. I mean, if there's a draft of the 2 alumni rosters, I think you got to start there.
She's the number 1 prospect there. Yeah, that's no question. No disrespect to Pink. I think Pink would even.
No disrespect to Pink.
Pink would also tell you the same thing. If Taylor Swift is there, you got to take Taylor Swift.
I don't know if she would, but
maybe you don't know Pink like I know Pink.
I think I know Pink maybe a little better. Ross is on the notable alumni list.
As he should be.
And likewise, Udinsky is on the Central Bucks. They might have been rivals, these 2 schools.
Yeah, I don't. It's hard for me to say.
Yeah.
Having only learned all this information 3 minutes ago, it's tough for me to judge.
I'm more
whether
like
they
10
were
minutes.
Rivals. Yeah.
I'm more like 10 minutes.
Right.
But, well, I don't. That's kind of funny. Is every female pop, superstar from Eastern Pennsylvania, or does it just seem like it right now?
I don't know. Quick, let me Google Lady Gaga.
Oh, she's from
that's not very
Allentown.
Yeah.
Actually, where do you think she's from? I'll Google Lady Gaga right now.
Yeah.
LG. She is from New York.
City?
Yep.
Okay.
Manhattan. Born in Manhattan.
All right.
Upper West Side.
No.
Boy, we're learning a lot here, even if it's a little awkward and slow.
Well, sometimes learning can be awkward and slow. Doesn't mean it's not important.
That's right. That's what makes it valuable.
Yeah.
We talked to Sal earlier about the continuing Bills coaching search into week 2 now, and for his thoughts on Championship Sunday. That conversation is next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.